was good. Break-in stories at 1 a.m. Yeah, it's a premonition for your house. If you're listening, maybe you'll hear it when it comes. Just a small-time girl living in a lonely world. What are you guys doing? Finally off work tonight to interact with stream. Well, welcome. I am ready to interact, to have human connections with you. I know no one cares, but my girlfriend just broke up with me, so your live is going to help me so much. I appreciate you, Joel. I'm sorry to hear that. But time heals all wounds. Distractions help. Focusing on yourself is eventually what you're going to realize. Like, you can always be, well, no. There will be other people in your life, obviously, eventually, at some point. But you're pretty much trapped with yourself until you die, whenever that might be. So it's probably best to just, like, try to continue to be the best version of yourself. If there is a particular thing that having that girlfriend or whatever was holding you back from becoming, now's the time to strive headlong towards it. Whether that's working out. I mean, working out's one of the biggest motivations post-breakup. More people have gotten ripped after a big breakup than any other reason in all of existence. Is this your first live or the others privates? Yeah, it's on, the other ones are unlisted, but they're in a playlist just for organizational reasons, because I had done it that way for so long. There's a playlist called live streams. Yeah, my friend invited me over to watch a movie with his family, and the movie they chose to watch was the fucking first Lord of the Rings movie. Like, of all movies to choose to watch, it was a 3-hour fucking film. I was actually gonna start streaming like 3 hours ago. And it's actually kind of funny because, like, the first Lord of the Rings, even though it is 3 hours, it kind of blazes by pretty quick. It doesn't really I mean, it's weird. It's a strange mixture of just, like, it takes its time, but, like, it's almost like going on a side quest in, like, Skyrim or Baldur's Gate or something. What's my favorite cheat meal? I don't know, dude. I've been having actually trouble with the weight loss process, because, like, I'll get to, like, so I would, like, fast on Sundays. Like, I would eat pretty good. I would eat, like, my macros for protein, not go hard on, like, carbs or whatever, even really that much during the week. Like, nothing, like, heavy or crazy. Really just, like, as you know, mixed berries. And then Sundays I would, like, fast, and I would get down to, like, 201. And then I don't know what it is during the week, but, like, yesterday I was, like, up, like, within a week. I just don't really get it. I'm, like, back up to, like, 208 or something. And I just don't know why my weight fluctuates so much. Like, it might just be water, but I don't really know what it is that's, like, holding all the water per se. So I'm kind of just, like, stuck at, like, this weird range of, like, 205. You're convinced your soulmate is an alien or your mom swallowed him. Yeah, probably the mom thing. Or alien. You just have to hang out outside of Area 69 for a while. Your friend wanted me over for longer. Maybe. Hey, let's watch the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy to trap Joel here. Nah, it's good to see them. It's been a little bit. Farts, death berries. Needs more nuts. Would be kind of tasty to mix some nuts in there. Eat the same thing every day and barely eat it the days I'm home. Yeah, I guess I probably just need to incorporate more cardio. Because even just doing it a little bit does make a big difference. Excuse me, I'm drinking fucking diet soda right now. Probably not the best thing, but we ate popcorn when we were over there, so I'm like, I don't know, I got salt in my mouth. I need something sweet. Lord of the Rings was my excuse to stay out late with friends, yeah. Come back like at 8 in the morning, like completely wasted with your like clothes half off, and your wife's like, "Where have you been?" I was watching Lord of the Rings. Could have been the director's cut that's like 4 hours long. That would have been better. It's funny though, my buddy's son like is obsessed with like Tolkien stuff, and he actually, the reason they were watching is because he'd never seen the first Lord of the Rings film, but he's like obsessed with the books and the Silmarillion and all that kind of stuff. And he was frustrated the whole film because he's like, that didn't happen. He's like, where's Tom Bombadil? Where the fuck is Tom Bombadil? Tom Bombadil dropped his milk and made it spill. Commerce stream problem. Salt in the mouth. My mouth is just flooded with salt. Ever seen anything weird in my life? Man. Probably, mainly on the internet, I guess. Stephanie Bowling with a 10. Says, Joel, I hope you're doing well. Brandon and Jolene are doing well. I'm doing fine. Jacob finally has 3 weeks off from work so he can catch up on getting his rest and spend more time with me. Nice. You guys can hang out at the stream more. Let's go, dude. What's up, Jeff? Where was Tom? Yeah, Tom wasn't in the movie. I don't know. He was kind of an integral part. And it's just weird stuff. Like, Frodo was supposed to be like, he was 30 whenever Bilbo turned. I think he was supposed to say he turned 111 or something like that. But then in the movie, he's like, it's my 111th birthday, and blah, blah, blah. And then, but Frodo's supposed to turn 30 at the birthday party, and then spend another like 20 years in the Shire, just like chilling but then he doesn't even begin his adventure till he's like 50. So I don't know. It just feels like this odd mix of like trying to like rush things, but it's weird because you don't realize that till you kind of like listen to the story or read a little bit of it. But I mean, like chapter 1, I feel like of the Lord of the Rings audiobooks is as long as the movie itself. Pope of Tattoos, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, yeah, I guess in some ways, what's his name? Peter Jackson did just kind of make like a fan fiction flick with that. Hey man, I'm curious if you train yourself to speak in a certain way for this channel, narrative kind of thing. Yeah, I guess so, a little bit, just over the years of trying it, you know? Because then we'll get to the stories, and then I'll talk like this, in my spooky dooky voice. And then, once in a while, I'll talk like this. That's how you know things are getting stinky. I saw a dog one time. I was on the school bus and looked over and the dog was doing like a downward dog pose. Nice. The dog was pointing direct. The dog was smiling. Stephanie with the 10 says, you see, for the last 3 weeks, Jacob has been getting up every day for 6 days at 6:30 a.m., Monday through Friday, so you can only imagine how tired Jacob it is. Well, honestly, I can't really imagine how tired Jacob would be because, like, people who, I mean, not to knock Jacob unless he just doesn't get sleep, but I've never understood why people who wake up for work at 6:30 a.m. feel like they need to brag about it or act like it's any different than any other human being. Because as long as you know, get enough sleep, like say you go to bed at midnight and you pass out exactly till 6:30 a.m. There's a lot of people who go to bed at 6:30 a.m. and sleep till like noon and they get lambasted for being lazy or something. But it's like, well, they needed 6 hours and now they're awake, and you needed 6 hours from the time you fell asleep. 6 to 8, whatever. I'm not pointing towards Jacob or anything, but I just feel like you just need your sleep whenever you get it, and especially if you know, that's your schedule for the majority of your life, you're kind of like just your circadian rhythm is just like specifically built to fall asleep at 9 p.m. and wake up at 4. Like people like Jocko and shit who are like, I'm working out at 4:30. It's like, that's exciting. If you were not sleeping, I guess, then I would be worried for you, because then you wouldn't be getting any rest and your heart might explode. You gonna go get a snack? You think I got the best reading voice on YouTube? Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate you. Exactly. Go to bed at 4, wake up at noon. Yeah, you get your 8 hours. I mean, that's literally sometimes what I do, and I kind of fucked up here today starting my stream so late that the stream will probably end right when I need to, like, roll into bed. But I do kind of wish that I had a normal sleep, like, something. I don't know. I kind of sometimes wonder when I would stream if I, like, really wanted to have a normal sleep. I guess I would just stream at 7 p.m. like my release schedule, like a normal person. You're the only one that does live and my favorite. I guess, yeah, I don't really know many others. I mean, a lot of the other narrators, they have like 24/7 streams where they just like stream their stuff like a radio station, which I guess is cool, but don't you have to keep your computer on all the fucking time? I guess if you just have one computer designated to streaming, I'm basically useless if I get less than 8 hours of sleep. Bro, I feel that. Sleep is what keeps us from dying. My heart's about to explode. I went to the hospital. My resting heart rate is 110. Might be from the drugs I used to do, but I feel like that's not good, right? Well, I don't know. I guess they'll figure out what's going on. Some sort of a electrical conductivity issue or something like that. I'm sure they'll do an EKG to see if you're in like AFib or tachycardia. I mean, that's just fast heart rate, but it might be a congenital issue with your heart as well, something you've had since you were born. And maybe it's also just something you developed over time here. Can you do a video on crazy wildlife encounters? I think I do on the channel. Let me check real quick. I hate this mouse. Every time as it turns on, it's got to make a giant noise. It's wireless. It's a wireless mouse. AFib. Let's see. Animals. We got 7 True Scary Animal Encounter Horror Stories, 6 True Scary Zoo Horror Stories, 7 True Scary Pet Horror Stories, White Stag Wiki. I guess I read a Wikipedia page about white stags. And then more zoo stories featuring Unit 522. There you go. Yeah. Hey, Laura O'Connor with the 5 gifters. To Dawn, Worry About, Jorge Abraham, Daniela, RR, and Tater Baby 67. Welcome, my friends, to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Do you plan these themes for several videos in advance, etc.? Yeah, kind of. I'll have somebody who goes through my email, sometimes looks on the Reddit and other locations to sort of compile themes that people are interested in, or ones that sound good, or ones that they've stumbled across within the email that seem like they could be a good compilation. And then if there's not enough like word count for something, I'll pay Sam Riding, if you're familiar with him, to do true crime research to kind of find something to fill in the blanks. Chips and dip or chocolate ice cream and pretzels? Chocolate ice cream and pretzels. That sounds fucking good. You could dip the pretzels in there. I saw people earlier, they had like a plastic dish. These moms, they were professional snack eater moms, and they got like soft serve ice cream cones from McDonald's, put 4 cones face down into the dish, like smush them in, and then started like scrumping up the, like just crushing all the cone into the ice cream. And then they put the cookies from McDonald's in there as well and started crumpling up those. And then some sprinkles and a little hot fudge that they ordered separately. And it looks so fucking good. It's funny though, because like the first thought that went through my head when the 2 moms were like eating, I was like, I wonder if either of them are like competitive eaters. Not competitive in the sense that they're like Kobayashi, like sucking down hot dogs, but like they're looking at the other one as if like, this fucking fat bitch better not eat more than me. I'm hungry, you know? This is my goddamn McDonald's concoction. Get your grimy paws off it. The Divine Feminine with the 1. Thank you, thank you. Want some ice cream? Oh, dude, imagine... Oh, dude, how come they don't put popcorn? Like different flavor... Oh, dude, kettle-cooked popcorn in ice cream like a Blizzard. Can you imagine how fucking good that would be? Starting as you get on the bus to work. Perfect timing. Nice. Best of luck at work today. It's gonna be fun. Ephraim, you know I'm Blippy. You know what I look like. Alright, friends. A couple more seconds. We'll switch over to our reading screen. If you like that playlist, that's Best of Antent. A-N-T-E-N-T. Antent. That's pretty good shit. Electronic, ambient, synthwave, chill playlist. Alright. And Stephanie Bowling with another 10 buccarinos. Thank you, Stephanie. Very kind. Says, Joel, I'm so amazed at how good friends you and Jacob are. Honestly, you have gotten to know Jacob very well, and he respects you, and you respect him, and you guys have an awesome friendship. Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys. Your entire family is keeping me alive. I'm using those 3 $10 bills to buy snacks from McDonald's to make a weird concoction in my car. Just found your channel last night. Been looking for another storyteller to go to sleep other than Bedtime Stories channel. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Nate. Yeah, we try to gear the content towards some sleepy time action, so I hope you can get some many years of use out of it. Thank you very much. Alright, so we got 4 stories about break-ins and breaking in. Breaking in the old pitcher's mitt. Oh yeah, I realize I gotta switch these to a legible text. It actually has been helping. I've been switching them to a different font, or like just copy paste them into Google Docs and then switch them to a different font that's legible, and then switch it to line spacing 1.5, and it kind of like helps my eyeballs a little bit more, so just kind of conceptualize or contextualize, or basically make me able to have superhuman reading abilities. And I fuck up on the first sentence, it'd be funny. My ex-girlfriend's little cousin used to work for some cleaning company in the city. She'd get assigned to the same house 3 days a week, some rich old guy who lived alone. And then one day, they have some kind of disagreement. He makes a complaint to the cleaning company and she gets fired. She starts running off at the mouth about what an idiot this guy was, about how he had all this money but no one to share it with, and how he kept this big old safe hidden in the back of one of his closets. That last part caught my attention in a very big way, and by the end of the week, I had a plan to find out. That last part caught my attention in a very big way, and by the end of the week, I had a plan to find out what was in it. See, I used to be, and I'm kind of putting this kindly, a total scumbag. I did my time, so I have no regrets, but for a while there, I made my living as a career criminal. I've gotten away with dozens of violent robberies and home invasions, and as much as it only took one case to destroy my life, it wasn't the one I wish I'd been caught for. That probably doesn't make much sense to some of you, and by the end of what I'm about to tell you, I can't guarantee it'll become any clearer. But that's just fine by me, because that'll make 2 of us that can't make any sense out of it. We cased this house for about a week, making sure that we had an idea of the layout and his routine, but getting inside was hardly some sort of Mission Impossible situation. We just walked up to the front door on a sunny Sunday morning, stuck a gun in his face, and then forced him back into the house and up to the bedroom with a safe in it. 9 times out of 10, once someone realized that you've been casing them and that you're serious criminals who aren't who... Oops. Omaru Shindaru. It's your birthday weekend. Happy birthday to you guys. Lindsay and Claire. What did I say? Leslie and Claire. Sorry, I fucking read that wrong. 9 times out of 10, once someone realizes that you've been casing them and that you're serious criminals who aren't messing around, they just give up the goods. This is especially true if they have kids, but not only was this dude all alone, but he refused to give us the code for his safe. We were more than prepared for that. We dragged him to his bathtub, shoved his own dirty underwear into his mouth, and then waterboarded him until he was literally shaking. We'd only had to torture someone one time before that, and I can't say that I enjoyed it. Only a real psycho gets a kick out of hurting people, so to me, it's something I want done quick and quiet. Waterboarding is perfect for that. There's no screaming. The person's never really in any danger, and it's so scary that I've never seen anyone last more than a few minutes. But our middle-aged bachelor was taking it like a champ, way longer than any of us expected. We pulled the underwear out of his mouth, asked him for the code again, but he just clamped his lips shut to try and stop us from forcing his soaking wet boxers back into his mouth. We did maybe 5 or 6 cycles of it, and he didn't say a goddamn word. Then finally, he spoke, and I swear to Jesus Christ that I'll never forget what he said for as long as I live. Just kill me, please. He was broken, or almost broken anyway. His voice sounded like he was about to start bawling any second. I think his response was so unexpected that it didn't really sink in for one of my partners, who suddenly tried this good cop approach of, "Listen, no one has to die, old man. Just give us the effing code." He shook his head. He shoved the boxers back into his mouth, and it all started over again. A few more cycles, and he decided to talk again. This is what you think it is. Please stop." One of my partners dragged him out of the bathtub, sat on his chest, and then told us to cover his mouth before he shoved a taser in his junk. After that, he was ready to talk. He told us the code, and we plugged it into the keypad, and then hey, presto, the door unlocked, and we pulled it open to see that he was right. There was nothing in there. Nothing of any obvious value anyways. There was just a bunch of what looked like books and then a whole bunch of VHS videotapes. This was the first time we made a serious error of judgment, as we were as angry as you can imagine. And in desperation, one of my partners runs off into the other bedrooms looking for watches, jewelry, anything to ensure that we don't walk away completely empty-handed. Now where me and our other partner we stayed behind to watch through some of this. Oh, I see. Oh yeah, Fry, you have a new channel, right? What's it called? Fry's gonna link his new YouTube channel here. He is, I think it's just like a kind of like one of those Reddit like AI reading channels, but he's gonna get the coolest and bestest stories ever imaginable. A little drunk, but you made it. Welcome. Watching from the UK at 6:22 a.m. Nice. Good morning. Me and the other partner, we stayed behind to watch our hostage and kind of root through the safe for anything hidden away. After all, the smart thing to do is disguise things, right? Make us think that we've made a mistake, when really, all the diamonds have been sewn into the spine of a book or safely secured in the shelf. When in reality, all the diamonds had been sewn into the spine of a book or secretly stashed away into the shell of an old VHS tape. And so, like I said, we started gutting the safe, ripping open what turned out to be photo albums, and cracked open the VHS tapes. We started with the tapes, but there was nothing in any of the ones we smashed, so we turned to the photo albums, and the second one we opened, we kind of froze. I only saw a couple of pictures before I slammed the album shut, but it was too late. I've never gotten what I saw in those photographs. I've never forgotten what I saw in those photographs, and I'll be damned if I give any kind of detailed description. But they were bad. Really bad, and the children in them looked young. Before I could react, my partner dropped his photo album and rushed the hostage. I don't know what was in the pictures he saw, but they just flicked a switch in his head. He just grabbed one of the guy's golf clubs, walked over, and smashed his skull in one hit. Not completely, but enough. Our other partner comes back with a few things in his pockets, but then freaks out at the sight of freaks the F out at the sight that greets him when he walks back into the bedroom. We all know that we had to just get out of there, leave town for a while, but maybe the country. The guy was well-to-do. The guy was a well-to-do suburbanite, yeah, sorry. He had some Cali wine today, too, real good Pinot Noir. Hell yeah. Jacob Bowling, welcome back for 19 months. Says, hey Joel, thank you for taking my story topic. I have an idea for October's bonus content. I think you will like my idea. I'll tell you my idea Tuesday. Cool. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Jacob. Do I like fried chicken and syrup fry? I don't think I've ever had that before, but that sounds pretty damn good. Man, you got everything there. Protein of the chicken, the saltiness of the deep fry, the fat, and then just cover it in fucking syrup. Let's go, dude. The guy was a well-to-do suburbanite, beaten to death in his home with a stash of illicit images of children lying on the floor in front of him. Big scandal or no, the cops would be after us, maybe even the feds if they thought we were involved in the stuff in the photo albums. So that's what we did. Scattered in each direction and kept our feelers out for whatever came next. I drove all the way out of state, way up into some little town in the middle of nowhere. Nice enough place, but not too nice that... God, I can't fucking find a fucking rhythm. Nice enough place, but not too nice that I wouldn't mind getting gone once my face started appearing on TV or something. But then one day passed, and then another, and then a third, and there wasn't even so much as a peep from any newspaper, radio, or TV station. We knew the cops might make a public appeal for witnesses. It was just a matter of when, and if they announced that they were looking for anyone of our description in connection with the guy who got. If they didn't, then cool. We could take another week or so and then head back home. But if they did, when we had to make moves. But if they did, then we had to make moves ASAP. With that in mind, we were glued to the TV and radio news, expecting every piece of breaking news to contain our names or face or something. We stayed there for like 2 days. We stayed there for like days too, thinking, any day now we're gonna hear about it. But when we finally did, it wasn't anything like we expected. The man my partner killed, or rather, the monster that my partner killed, was declared missing. Not dead, not wanted in connection with all the crap we'd found, just missing. There was no mention of any break-in, no mention of anything except how much of a loved member of the community had... Why is it so hard? Maybe I'm zoomed in, maybe I need to zoom out? I don't know. There was no mention of any break-in, no mention of anything except how a much-loved member of the community had suddenly and inexplicably gone missing. We thought it was some kind of trap, get us to come out of hiding, go back to our regular routine, also the cops or feds or whoever could swarm us, book us, and then lock us up for life. But it never happened. I ended up getting picked up for something a few years later, and I figured that's when the hammer was going to fall. But once again, it didn't. I was charged with something totally unconnected to what happened that night, and I ended up doing a few years for burglary, grand larceny, and the trafficking of some stolen goods. And it's been years now, and I've still heard nothing about what happened that night. That sounded weird. I need a psychic Pokemon. I wouldn't mind that. It would be interesting to have a psychic Pokemon. What if you had a psychic Pokemon and it was just like controlling what you were doing your entire life and you had no idea? Hitsubasa with the 5s. Who has Monday off? Holla. Gonna sleep in and play video games as you do, as one does, on a laborious day to celebrate. Thank you, Hitsubasa. You can coach basketball, but it doesn't matter, so I don't, so rather herbs and stones. Christinopolis, welcome back for 1 whole year. Whoever gifted me a membership, thank you. You're welcome. Who was that? Earlier, I have it here. Boing, boing, boing. Boing. Wait, did it show up? Maybe it doesn't show up there. Oh, was that way earlier? Maybe from a previous stream? I know we had a gift her a little bit ago. It's been years now, and I've still heard nothing about what happened that night. I even thought about sending the cops an anonymous tip or something like that. I know that it would put me at risk of going to prison, and this time for good, but sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy. I know some people really do just get away with murder, but ours isn't one of those situations. No one can even acknowledge that someone died. No one even acknowledge. I just like see words that don't exist. I don't know why that is, and I just started. Maybe because it's late? I don't know. No one even acknowledges that someone died that night, and although I've long considered why that might be, it's a waste of time to guess or try and make any sense of it. I don't think there is much sense to be made, to be honest. Someone made sure that what we found never saw the light of day. Whether or not that was to protect someone or protect a group of people, I don't know. But it damn sure wasn't to protect us. Someone knows what happened that night besides us, and it's whether or not they want to handle things in their own special way that keeps me up at night, even all these years later. SJ Curtis with a 150. Thank you, thank you. You should send a story. I got two that you might like. Yeah, for sure. You can send it to my subreddit, r/letsreadofficial, or you can send it to my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. Sing happy birthday to you, Leslie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Leslie. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Alright, one story in the book Arena. We're cruising, we're bruising, we're schmoozing. Do 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 do. I know that my... Oh, there was a little preamble there, my bad. I picked your gibberish to read. You gots to tighten up. You're slurring your speech in the chat. It's transferring over to your fingers. They're becoming like noodles. You must be drinking bourbon. Birthday twerking. Elmo, thank you, thank you. Good to see you. The Divine Feminine with his amazing singing. Thanks. I try my best. How many for the night tonight? This is story 2 of 4. They're pretty long, I think. I'm a big fan of the channel, and I've been meaning to email you for quite a while now, but if I'm being completely honest, this whole process has been pretty difficult for me. I know that might sound a tad melodramatic, but revisiting one of the most traumatic events in my life in order to turn it into a cohesive narrative has been a deeply unpleasant experience. The scary story in question is something that I never want to think about, let alone spend hours writing about, but I decided to step up and get it done out of a sort of strange sense of duty. I feel like listening to the stories on your channel is an educational experience sometimes. Yes, the stories might be gripping, but they're not really entertaining, not in the traditional sense anyway. They have values because they constitute teachable moments, I always say. Lessons that we can all learn to keep ourselves safer, and I think the people who write and send them in to you are almost providing a service in a way. But at the same time, I've come to appreciate what a difficult task it can be to turn our own personal horrors into readable stories. I suppose I'm just kind of rambling on now, but my point is that as much as I'm grateful to you, I'm even more thankful for the people who send their stories in. But enough of me going on about that, I'll just get to it. For context, at the time this all took place, I was a 23-year-old female student in my third year of study at the University of Manchester. It was Valentine's Day weekend. Fuck. Oh my goodness, Christopoulos with a 10. Gifters got me choking on my spit. Gifting to Eugenia, Jeff, Gabberflast, Pandenice, Bree D, Vanessa 2, Miss Chris, Jazzy T, Omar Zappa, Gummy Worms, Renee Cope, Joshua Jackson. Welcome, my friends, to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Please do thank Christopoulos for their kind gift. Thank you. Sorry, that was hanging in me for a while. Mischievous dog. It was Valentine's weekend of 2016, and just after 6 p.m. on Friday the 12th, I was on my way back home following a long day at uni. It had just started to get dark as I left campus, and after catching the tram all the way down to East Didsbury, it's almost pitch black outside. I made a quick stop at a corner shop to pick up some wine for me and my flatmate, and turned off the main road into the direction of my building, but there was no more than a... Make sure I said Dildosbury right. Didsbury. Mischievous frog. Didsbury. I guess it's just, I don't even know. Does it exist? It does not exist on Forvo. Sweet. Bone ass content. Bone in content. Boner. Any new rumors? Rumors aren't good. Rumors are bad, actually. Sometimes rumors hurt people, and you shouldn't care about them. That being said, who's ready to go to war? Just kidding. Not really, though. I made a quick stop at the corner shop to pick up some wine for me and my flatmate, turned off the main road in the direction of my building, then was no more than a few minutes from home when I suddenly spotted someone in front of me. It was just some guy in a waterproof jacket with the hood up, which wasn't unusual because it was cold and drizzling at the time, so I just kept on walking towards him, feeling only the usual amount of awkwardness when you're about to pass a stranger on a narrow stretch of pavement. We passed each other without incident, just as I expected, but then I couldn't have been more than a few feet down the street when I heard the man say something which was clearly directed at me. I didn't catch exactly what was said, but it was loud enough for me to sort of twig out that he turned and said to me, he twigged. For me to twig. He twigged it. Turn around and then he twigged it. Why the spooky astronaut skeleton? Because sci-fi horror. When I first started narrating, I read sci-fi and horror. And now, just true scary stories. I was all day out drinking with my brother. What a shitty time to be abandoned by my brother. Oh, shit. See, that's the worst thing about going out with friends when you have like a Saturday or weekend where you're like, dude, we're going out. Yeah! And then, like, at some point, somebody in the group gets so wasted that they just, like, abandon you. And it's so flippin' dippin' annoying. Because, you know, you want to be the one to abandon them, you know? You want to be in control, but you don't get to be. Which is bullcrap. I didn't catch exactly what was said, but it was loud enough for me to hear that he turned around to say it to me in particular. So out of sheer politeness, I turned around and said, "Sorry?" As in, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I don't know if he was drunk or something, but when he repeated himself, I was no closer under... Hey, Lynn, what's up? I don't know if he was drunk or something, but when he repeated himself, I was no closer to understanding him. However, what I did understand is the way he was looking at me made me feel very uncomfortable, horrible even, so I gave him a sort of nothing apology, then kept on walking at a sort of slightly faster pace. It sounds crazy to type this looking back on it, but when I'd first heard him walking behind me, following me up the street, I wasn't really scared, I was more angry. Maybe if I'd just kept on walking and ignored him completely, things would have been different. But I gave in to that anger, turned around, and very sternly told that man to stop following me. In my experience, most men who act out of line like that just need a good telling off. Generally speaking, if you tell a man X or Y behavior isn't attractive, they'll at least make some small effort to correct it, but then some men are different. I'm not trying to be rude here either. I know this goes for all people, whatever they identify as, but sometimes you meet a person who just isn't. And by that I mean they look like a person, walk, talk, and act like a person, but they're not a person. There's something different. When I turned around and very sternly told him, "Stop following me or I'll call the police," I don't quite know what I expected him to do. Actually, stopping seemed quite high on my list, potentially followed by some throwaway abuse, like a bad word to throwaway abuse. Buttersock Prophet, welcome back for 3 months. Is Joel. Jacob's nickname is a cerebral assassin. He's always thinking, Joel, think you're really going to like Jacob's idea or October's bonus content. Nice, can't wait to hear it. That's my purse. Actually, stopping seemed quite high on my list, potentially followed by some sort of throwaway, antagonizing comment, something bad, but what I didn't expect him to do was throw a punch so fast that I barely had time to react. I don't think he fully knocked me out when he first... What's up, Pauly D? I don't think he fully knocked me out when his fist smashed into my face, but I think I was as close as I ever want to get. 1 second I remember thinking, oh my god, he's gonna do something. And then the next, I was lying half on the pavement and half in the road with the wanker rummaging through my handbag and taking really anything of value. I have a very vivid memory of thinking, you could have just asked, mate, because as much as I obviously didn't want to give him my bag, I was hardly going to fight him if he pulled out a knife or tried to grab it. Then my next thought was to run down the street and buzz my flat to get in, because, like I said, I was only a few minutes' walk at the very most. But then I tried to stand. I felt him kick my legs out from under me. The next time I tried to stand, he took my legs out from under me again, but that time, it was because he started trying to drag me along the pavement. I don't know if there was a car waiting or something. I don't know what was going through my... I don't know if there was a car waiting or something. I don't know what was going through that guy's head, but I just started screaming for dear life, hoping that someone would hear me. And luckily, someone did. Because the next thing I know, I heard a woman's voice shouting, "You leave her alone." I looked up to see that a burglar light had switched on, and standing in the pathway to her home was a woman holding her phone to her ear, probably just having called 999. I remember looking up to see the panic on the man's face, and in his moment of hesitation, I scrambled to my feet, ran down the woman's front path, and into her house before she slammed the door closed behind us. I was in complete shock. My knees felt weak, so I just sort of threw myself down on the stairs in the front hallway. I kept alternating between thank yous and sorries as I realized that I was dripping blood on this nice lady's carpet, and she handed me the phone before running off to grab a wet towel. I was still describing my attacker to the dispatcher, dabbing at my lip with the wet towel, when the nice woman went off to make us both a cup of tea. Seconds later, the door shook with a blow so hard I was amazed that it didn't come crashing off its hinges. I went into a panic and just started shouting, "He's trying to break in! He's trying to break in!"
sort of half down the phone and half to the woman in the kitchen making tea. She comes running up the hallway and tells me to go upstairs, then directs me into what looked like some sort of office or computer room at the far end of the landing. She slammed the door shut behind us, closed a small sliding lock, and then fished a baseball bat out from some side cabinet. "Only room with a lock on the door," I remember her saying, just as there was another crash downstairs.
That sounded weird. Oh, missing streams for like a month since YouTube stopped sending me notifs. See, I don't get that. Like, people want to be here, but YouTube just doesn't notify fucking anyone. It's so unreliable that the only thing I can say is, like, follow me on Twitter and hit those on notification as well. I don't know, because I always post on there when I go live. You just bit a chunk of your tongue. Did it come off? I'm sorry. I hate that feeling. It's just like a crunch, but like a really painful, sharp feeling. Destroyer Lynn with the one gifter to Azura Pink. Welcome. Thank you, Lynn. YouTube stopped sending notifications too. I wonder if you have to like set them all on, or what's the deal? I think it's because you have personalized ones. Yeah, I feel like you gotta like, you have to go through so many fucking hoops to get notified. It just doesn't make any sense.
"Only room with a lock on the door," I remember her saying just as there was another crash from downstairs. "Husband had started to keep me while he's working. Quite glad he did. Husband had started to keep me out while he's working. I'm quite glad he did now, just to be honest." I remember just being in total awe of her. She seemed so calm when I was just beside myself, so when she walked over to the window to look out the front of her house, I followed her. And that's when I saw him. The man was walking all the way to the end of this woman's path, and then running all the way back up at top speed before slamming their foot into the door. From the amount of force that he was putting into it, I couldn't believe the door was still on its hinges, and because I was still on the phone with the police, I kept telling them how determined the man was to get in. I remember the dispatcher saying something like, "Since it's an ongoing incident, officers will be with you in just a few minutes," and how utterly musical her words sounded in that moment. She wasn't wrong either, and although it felt much longer, the guy was only able to take a few more run-ups before the sound of sirens had him second-guessing himself. It didn't stop him, though. He was still trying to kick the lady's door in when the police showed up and took him down to the ground. I cried with relief seeing him being dragged into their van, and the nice lady, whose name I soon found out was Pauline, was finally able to get those cups of tea finished. She ended up making 4 cups.
They didn't sacrifice their firstborn, nor did they supply the blood of a virgin. That's why they don't get notifications. Yeah, it's like, it's getting more complicated, I feel like. You used to just have to kill like one chicken. Now it's all this rigmarole. Archive for the streams. There is a playlist called Streams that you can listen to all the streams from most recent to oldest in that order.
She ended up making 4 cups, 2 for the 2 police officers who stayed behind to take statements from us. She ended up making 4 cups, 2 for us and 2 for the 2 police officers who stayed behind to take statements from us. And by all the time, I can't. And by the time all that side of things was wrapped up, her husband had arrived home to get the shock of his life. It was him that helped me gather up all my stuff from outside, everything except the bottle of wine that had smashed after that first fall. Then, once he was kind enough to help me get my things together, he gave me a lift home. My flatmate started calling me during the journey home, wondering where I was. I didn't have the heart to tell her over the phone, so I just texted her saying, "Be home soon. No wine, though." Luckily for me, she'd brought a second, and she was only too happy to run out to buy a replacement one once she heard that. Luckily for me, she'd bought a second one, and she was only too happy to run out to buy a replacement once she'd heard what an absolute nightmare I'd just been in. The thing that makes me feel quite emotional.
Why is it so fucking hard? Why is it so hard to find, like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, I can read through like 11 fucking pages. I can read pages and pages nonstop. But then other days I just can't fucking find a rhythm. I don't know if it's British. I think I'm cursed by the Queen, honestly. The Divine Feminine with a 1. We'll give a shout out to Jimmy Buffet. He passed away Friday. Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffet. God too soon. The thing that makes me feel quite emotional to think about is just how lucky I was on a number of different levels, too. Lucky to the point. Lucky the punch didn't break my nose or do any permanent damage. Lucky Pauline was there to rescue me. Lucky that her door didn't cave in like I know mine would have. But with that feeling of fortuitousness. Jesus, I did not expect the word fortuitousness in the midst of this shit. Oh my god, I'm gonna go. But with that feeling of fortuitousness come together. But with that feeling of fortuitousness comes another, much darker kind of feeling. Guilt. I feel guilty that I managed to escape when so many others don't get that chance. I sometimes think about what might have happened if Pauline hadn't interfered, and it sometimes drives me to tears. I donate to a charity called the Survivors Trust, and I know it's only a few quid a month, but it's doing my part. Like, why would that not just be the end of the sentence? I don't fucking get it. I donate a charity called the Survivors Trust, and I know it's only a few quid a month. Like, comma, fucking comma. Like, I feel British people don't take breaths. Like, they never take time to take a breath to, think of that. Just like one giant paragraph is a fucking sentence. I donate to a charity called the Survivors Trust, comma, and I know it's only a few quid a month, comma, but it's doing my part, comma. It's me trying to make a difference for all the women and girls who didn't have someone to help them with, comma, long live the Queen. Jesus Christ. I donate to a charity called the Survivors Trust, and I know it's only a few quid a month, but it's doing my part. It's me trying to make a difference for all the women and girls who didn't have someone to help them. I also still keep in touch with Pauline and her husband. We swap Christmas and birthday cards every year, and I send them a little wedding anniversary gift around the date in September too, just like a donation to the Survivors Trust. I think it's the least I can do for them, because without their kindness, compassion, and bravery, I just can't follow. I cannot follow it. I can't follow. It's like trying to work your way through a cave system, and sometimes you see a little fucking firefly light in your way, and other times that firefly just like turns into a cloud of fart smoke, and then it's pitch black again. Quid means pound. I know what quid means. That has nothing to do with it. They should use squid, yeah.
Just like the donation to the Survivors Trust, I think it's the least I can do for them because without the kindness, compassion, and bravery they showed that night, I think, no, I know that my life would be very different. And a few months later, I got a phone call from a detective who said he'd dealt with violent crimes. They caught the guy who attacked me, but by the looks of things, there wasn't going to be any kind of trial and it was unlikely he was going to prison. He was quick to assure me that this didn't mean that he'd be back out in the street, not anytime soon anyway. There would be a psychiatric assessment and the results showed that he couldn't be held legally responsible for the assault. In so many words, he was completely off his rocker, was scheduled to be moved to a secure psychiatric unit, and unless he showed signs of improvement, would be kept there indefinitely. As far as I know, he's still there, as I'm legally entitled to be informed of his release should that day ever come, but honestly, I can't say that. As far as I know, he's still there, as I'm legally entitled to be informed of his release should that day ever come, but honestly, I can't see that happening anytime soon. I won't name the detective I spoke with because I think he told me one or two things he shouldn't have regarding my attacker's background, but to me, there was nothing short of they were nothing short of jaw-droppingly shocking, so I think it's only right to share them with you too. The guy who attacked me was rescued from an abusive family at the age of 11, but it was discovered that the abusers weren't his biological parents. They told the truth about where the boy had come from and always insisted he was their child, but social services knew from the DNA test that the kid must have come from another set of parents. They asked if he remembered his parents, but he only had a few scant memories of them, and without any legitimate identification papers, there was no way of finding them. The boy then grew up in the foster system and immediately exhibited signs of severe trauma to the families who'd fostered him. He went from place to place, getting more and more violent as the years went by. He'd been in and out of prison by the time he was 21, and then when he was 22, he ran into me on a rainy Friday evening and just decided to go berserk. He never talked about why, and he was impossible to interview due to severe problems with his speech. I think that's why I couldn't make any sense of what he'd said to me, and apparently miscommunications like that had been a trigger for previous violent behavior. I only really mention all of that because, after I really understood where this guy had come from, it lifted a lot of hatred and fear off my shoulders. It didn't seem so random and senseless anymore. He wasn't some monster, just a severely damaged person who I was unlucky enough to bump into. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be locked up, but after learning about him, I wasn't burdened with all those whys anymore, which were definitely what were hurting the most. Some people are just broken, very broken. Others say they can't be fixed and that we'll never understand evil, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try, at least to take away the fear. Fear is what was ruining my life after the bruises had gone and my mouth had healed, and I refuse to be afraid any longer. We did it. We done did it. You're a cheat meal. Okay. Cruising and bruising. You love me? Thanks. Thank you, thank you. Story 1 of 4. That was story 2 of 4. You want to go to LA soon? What are you going to do in LA? We're going to LA. We're going to LA. Frappes and lattes are about $200 a piece. I can't wait to barely afford my rent. Constantly chasing a dream for entertainment. I'll sell my body, I'll sell my soul. I'll sell all my belongings so I can afford that gold. The stuff that you put right into your nose. I'll eventually start to tweak and they'll spray me with a hose. Get off my property, they say to me. But I don't really feel anything, I'm numb with glee. That was Tom Bombadil, he wrote that song. The summer I turned 27, my boyfriend of 3 years invited me to stay over at his parents' place for a week. They were heading off on some month-long vacation around Europe, so they asked him to house sit there. Twistanity with the 5 and first ever super chat. Says first super chat I ever paid, so yee, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. You need to put no soul somewhere in the song. I think I said I sold my soul. Therefore, the soul is gone. Tom Bombaclat, the evil twin. That would be so fucking funny, actually. If there was like a Lord of the Rings parody written and it was Tom Bombaclat. Yo, man. Little Frodo, man. Take a smoke of that peace pipe, man. Tom Bombaclat. And they just sing like reggae jams. That'd be great. Original Asherella, welcome back for 39 months. Says, hey, Let's Read. Haven't popped in a while, so I figured I'd use my Look at Me badge. Hell yeah, I'm glad you did. Asherella, how you doing? What's new? Jackson is here. Jackson squared. They were heading off on some month-long vacation around Europe, so they asked him to house sit their place while they were gone. A big reason was that they needed someone to take care of Buster, their 7-year-old beagle, so instead of staying there all alone, my boyfriend asked me to come keep him company. It was super fun having all that privacy, and it was kind of emotional too, seeing how things might play out if we stayed together and achieved our career goals. It was also summer, and with us both being teachers, neither of us had any commitments or anything like that, so while Jay's parents were in Europe, we had our own little staycation right there in the house he grew up in. I arrived on the Friday evening. The one and only. I arrived on Friday evening and stayed all the way until late Thursday night, only occasionally heading home to grab a change of clothes or something out of my fridge. That Thursday we stayed in bed until late in the morning, then headed out to get some brunch at our favorite spot. I ordered my usual, he ordered I ordered my usual, he ordered his, and it was nice. Little brunch dates like that always put me in a great mood, so walking out of the cafe shop and back towards his car, I was in an awesome mood at that point. I was also distinctly remembering the moment when I lost some of that good feeling, having spotted a guy across the street, sitting in his car, very clearly staring at me. I did a double take just to make sure that I wasn't imagining things, but no. There he was, staring back at me with this sort of blank expression on his face. I didn't want to say anything to Jason, my boyfriend, just in case anything escalated and ruined our day, but once we were safely back in his car, I told him all about the guy who was staring us down. skinwalker sounds. You were born and raised in LA, grandfathered in. Nice. Now, being born and raised in LA, are you like, is it just born into the people that are around their aspirations to be in like show business, or is that just kind of like a silly thing to most people there? I didn't want to say anything to Jason, my boyfriend, just in case something escalated and ruined our day. But once we were safely back in his car, I told him all about the guy who'd stared us down on the walk back to his car. He'd reacted exactly how I expected him to. Kinda mad at first, but then trying to make light of it by telling me how pretty I looked. I didn't mention this, but that wasn't that kind of... What? Someone was trying to kill us. You look so pretty. I didn't mention this, but it wasn't that kind of look. Like I said, it was very expressionless, just no emotion whatsoever, and he didn't give a... Like I said, it was expressionless, just no emotion whatsoever, and he didn't give a crap if we knew he was staring or not, which was definitely the creepiest part. So we got back to his parents' place, hung out some more, playfully argued about where to order takeout from, and generally had a nice afternoon together. And dinner was awesome. I won with my suggestion of some Korean food, and once again, a nice time was had by all. With us being teachers, we just were conditioned to having an early bedtime, so after a few glasses of wine and a little bit of Big Bang Theory, I don't care if you hate it, Joel, fight me, we took a shower together and then went to sleep. As I mentioned earlier, we were taking care of Buster, the old beagle that I'd come to absolutely adore by that period of my stay. He was just so chilled out and friendly to everyone, and I swear I've never seen a dog so hungry for cheese, of all things. Jason said that one time when Buster was a younger dog, he'd ate so much cheese that he puked and then tried to eat his own cheese puke once he got through puking. I don't think I've ever heard anything so disgusting in my life, but for some reason it made me love that dog all the more. And I say, oh, that dumb dog. Fuck. What are you talking about? Dogs fucking love cheese. I remember when I was younger, that was like the staple for my dog Spike. He would never take a single pill unless it was wrapped in cheese. And then it just became like a little fun, probably a terrible thing for him. That's how he got ridiculously fat, was just like me going into the... I probably was the downfall of my dog via obesity. Going into the fridge and unwrapping a slice of government cheese and fucking handing that to him. He would unpeel it himself. There are some dogs in your work who don't like cheese? No way, dude. Cheese is like the key. Cheese is like dog crack, dude. The second you smell it, you're jonesing. I don't think I've ever heard anything so disgusting in my life, but for some reason it made me love that dumb dog all the more. And I say dumb, but Buster had apparently gotten pretty smart in his older years. Whenever he needed the bathroom, he'd just walk up to the back patio doors of the house, sit his butt down, and then just stare at you and whine. If you didn't immediately get up to let him out into the yard, he'd start scratching at the door as if to say, "Open it up, human." It was cute, but also super polite of him not just to poop and then be like, "Whoops." So anyway, this is so weird. This is like written by someone who's like never interacted with a dog in their life or something like that. Because I feel like having grown up with dogs, like dogs going to the door to be let out or sitting there and whining is like pretty par for the course dog behavior. This person's like perplexed by the magic of the canine. The only thing your dog won't eat is lettuce. Should we eat anything else, though?
That is kind of funny. If you were to put like a sandwich in front of a dog would find a way to like eat all of it in one gulp, but then like spit out the lettuce and like without it even taking any damage. You want a dog? There's a lot of dogs on planet Earth. You could just go get one, which is cool. It's not illegal or anything. And they're probably one of the best things for security. Also, I thought it was really weird in the UK, like, I understand that pit bulls kind of get, you know, a bad rep. And they are kind of, you know, they can be dangerous because they're bred specifically to, like, latch onto you and not let go and then rip you to shit. And they kill kids and, you know, eat babies and whatnot. But, like, I heard that in the UK they were trying to, like, ban American pit bulls or whatever. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, do they have to ban everything bad? Or like anytime anything does one bad thing, like say hypothetically you fucking trip over your shoelaces or whatever, eventually everyone in the UK is going to be wearing fucking Velcro, you know. Oh, Velcro's much safer and better for the environment too. So saith the Queen. Ever taken a spooky dookie? Dude, that's like every morning for me. If I even get a whiff of coffee, that ghost is shooting out. The brown ghost. Your voice is literally the reason I survived my job as security officer at night. Thank you. You're welcome, David. I got you, homie. Can I do landscape gardening stories? Maybe. Maybe I can find some that are... See, this is good. When people suggest it, I can have someone dig through the archives. The Akashic records of scary stories. What's up, Jimmy Buckley? Your pit bull's the sweetest baby ever. Well, the Queen wants all pit bulls confiscated. Because the police can't raid your house when they have a beast in there. Anyway, that Thursday night, I remember waking up and needing to pee really bad, but when I was in the bathroom, I heard Buster whining. There was no scratching, just kind of whining, so after I finished with my pee, I figured that I'd go let Buster have his. But then right as I get to the top of the stairs, I see him right there in his doggy bed. Not by the door, but whining all the same. He's also not lying down in his bed like he'd usually do. Susie Dunn, welcome back for 10 months. Says, hey guys, thanks for the gift sub. Nice. Yeah, probably Chris Nopolis got you on that one, or somebody earlier. Thank you, Susie. The only dog that scares you are Akitas. Yeah, I guess Akitas only really listen to like one person, right? Otherwise, they're pretty territorial beasts, and they're giant. Lexi B, welcome back for 5 minutes. The reason they want to ban the American Bully is because one attacked a 3-year-old girl. Yeah, but one incident doesn't constitute... I mean, that's a fucking Tuesday here in America, you know what I mean? We started packaging imitation baby meat in cans for pit bulls just to keep them at bay. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices to the blood gods. Not trying to negate the fact that they went through that unfortunate attack, but I mean, I don't really think like one thing like that would constitute changing of all laws for all other people. Like that line of thinking is kind of a slippery slope, I feel like, in regards to legislation. He's also not lying down in his bed like he'd usually be doing 23 hours a day. He was just sat up in it. There was only a little light going downstairs from the hallway I was on, but I could see him looking up at me, just like he'd do if he needed to go to the bathroom, so I walked downstairs and said, "What's up, buddy?" And right when I got to him, he turned his head to look at something in the TV room, and he kept staring until I too looked in the direction he was staring. And there,
Sitting on one of the two couches that faced each other was a man wearing a dark clothing. Legislation. For the next urban legends video, you should definitely do some urban legends from Mexico. Now that would be one that I would listen to, fall asleep faster. Interesting. Well, yeah, I guess what Mexico would be what? Ya Llorona and stuff like that. But I guess that's more paranormal. I mean, I guess that might fall into. English Bull Terriers are pretty nuts. Yeah, but I guess it just comes down to the owner too, you know? I think if you fucking, I don't even know. Presumably, you can ban, you know, well, obviously it's not really the same comparison, but it's just like when one bad thing happens, people just want to change everything in the world to pretend like they live in some type of fucking utopia, you know? But all it does is create limitations on other human beings, which makes no fucking sense. Galebra, what's going on? I'm gonna turn into a bumpkin. I already am. They're growing me in the pumpkin patch for the next Charlie Brown movie. New Zealand has some pretty interesting stories. Yeah, I don't really think I've touched too much on New Zealand. Holy fuck. Fucking see, that's what they should ban is fucking house centipedes, dude. I saw a little flash out of the corner of my fucking eye, and I was like, I know what that is. And I see it scurrying across the floor, and I know it's probably not nice of me to kill it, but they freak me out, and they look like, I think it wanted to crawl up my asshole. That's all I'm saying. There might have been a chance for that. And it's, if that's happened to a 3-year-old in the UK, then I'm fine with banning all house centipedes. Yeah, we should ban pooping too. It's disgusting. No bugs indoors. They clearly, that house centipede did not read the rules on the internet. Centipedes and spiders scare the shit out of me. Yeah, those ones are weird because I feel like they're like smarter than spiders. I gotta be honest, like they don't look like they have eyes, but they have some sort of like innate sense in them where like they see you looking at them, and they're scared of you, you know, obviously because they're like, oh fuck, and then because they always just like, I don't know, they just like take off out of nowhere, either, and I know for a fact they're gonna find their way up one of my orifices. Water bugs, yeah. Thankfully, I've not had water bugs. You know, growing up, I went to a pool one time. You guys ever been to a pool? Well, I remember seeing this fucking like one bug. It was so insane. It would like skim across the water. It sort of had like thin little flapping wings for it to like skim across the water. But then when I was under the water, I would get goggles because that was my shit. I loved fucking going under the water with goggles and just kind of pittering around like Mario in the underwater level. And I remember just like seeing one of them sort of like floating, like T-posing with his little ganker wings, you know, and then it would just like take off so fucking fast, like yeah, like a water skeeter. I don't know what it was, but that was like a legendary insect for me. David De La Rosa with the 2 says, hey Joel, what's up? Sorry I'm late. I made it. Nice. And that's okay. I started way fucking late tonight. Look up sun spiders. Had them in New Mexico and they're so freaking scary and fast. Looking it up. Sun spiders. Ew. Those are the ones like from like Afghanistan.
Ew, man. They look like they... What the hell? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... They have 10 legs? Are they even spiders? Or are they some type of set... Dude, those don't even look like spiders. Are they still in the arachnoid vibe? Are they old world or new world? Because that looks pretty fucking old and ancient. That looks like... Remember when Pennywise switches into some sort of extraterrestrial arachnid? That is pretty much a mini Pennywise. What's up, Gabby? The one Mr. Balin's story with the dock spiders scaring me super bad. Yeah, fuck spiders, dude. The one kind of like... It almost like... Oh, camel spiders, sun spiders. Yeah, the one has like a big thorax, so it almost looks a bit like a termite or an ant type creature, and those ones aren't quite as creepy. I wish I could I wish I had some type of pheromone in a jar or something, and you could just like make ants do things for you. That would be so fucking sick. You just like spray something over here, and then a bunch of fire ants will go attack like, I don't know, some nest of house centipedes or some shit, or maybe you have like a naughty neighbor, and then you just like spray their house with some sort of pheromone, and then their entire house gets like lifted off the ground and taken to a dumpster. And they would have no idea, dude. They would have no freaking idea. It's the perfect crime.
There, sitting on one of the two couches that faced each other, was a man wearing dark clothing and a ski mask. Before I could react, he had a gun pointed at me and gestured to the couch in front of me and then told me, "Sit down." It was like I wasn't in control of my own body anymore. I knew I shouldn't do what he was telling me. I knew I should run or scream or try and hide, anything to avoid getting within arm's reach of the guy. But still I did what he told me and sat down on the couch. I tried to speak, tried to tell him that we'd do anything if he just wouldn't hurt us, but he cut me off and asked, "Is Jason here?" The fact he knew my boyfriend by name, I can't even describe how much that terrified me. If it was just some random break-in, they might at least be happy with some money or some valuables or something like that. But knowing Jay by name, that meant it was personal. And I did the only thing I could. I lied and shook my head. I remember how dark the guy's eyes looked in the low light, and how they never once blinked after I shook my head. He then asked me in the same whispered voice, "Why'd you..." Oh, I thought that was going to be dialogue. It was not dialogue. Dialogue. "No Luthandu. No Lathandu. No Lathandu." With the 35 czars. Thank you. And for your first ever super chat, No Lathandu. Thank you, thank you. You also like bats and dragonflies? They are pretty cool. I do like bats. I am kind of curious if I would have caught a bat, if it would bite me. Presumably, yes. And I guess don't they carry similar diseases to rodents and stuff? Thankful for your consistency, allow me and my husband to have over-the-phone listening dates while he's away on deployment. Oh man, okay. Where's he deployed at? He then asked me in the same whispered voice why Jason wasn't there if his car was parked outside. Again, I felt that same terror. He knew Jason, and he knew him well. But what the hell was Jay into that a man with a gun had come breaking into his parents' house in the middle of the night? I think that's what scared me more than anything. Not knowing what the F had happened to get us into that kind of mess in the first place. I could die never knowing what he'd done. Why does my voice squeak? Why does my voice squeak like a little squeaker squawk? Ah, why? Why do you squeak? If I scream at my voice, it will stop.
You don't like how bats swoop at your head sometimes? You know, I'm not sure if they're territorial. I don't imagine they are. They're probably just trying to grab a bug. Some sort of malaria-carrying mosquito was like inches from injecting its disease into your neck, and the bat comes down. I'm like, give me that.
I think that's what scared me more than anything, not knowing what had happened to get us into that kind of mess in the first place. I could die never knowing what the hell he'd done. Just 1 minute I'd be there, wondering in horror, and the next there'd be nothing. Just a void of unanswered questions and unfulfilled potential. The masked man asked me again if Jason was in the house, and more specifically, if he was upstairs sleeping. I knew it was pointless to lie again, so that time I said nothing, did nothing, just waited for whatever came next. I thought he might just shoot me, then go upstairs to do the same to Jason, or maybe he'd just walk right past me and I'd have to listen to the last moments of my boyfriend's life. Instead, the guy seemed to take on a completely different persona. He stopped pointing the gun at me. Not completely, but not directly at me. And then he sank back into the couch and sighed. He asked if I knew why he was there, and I shook my head. In response, I remember how he kind of laughed silently to himself and said, "Of course not." And that was one of the only few times I found the strength to speak, and although I wanted to ask him why he was there, all that came out was, "Please don't hurt us." The guy leaned forward again, and then told me in words that'll stay with me until I die, "I'm not gonna hurt you, either of you." But I was gonna. That's the reason I came here. I was gonna shoot your boyfriend. You know why? I shook my head, and soon as I said, he responds with, "Because he's been cheating with my wife." It was only then that I noticed, fucking crap. Olive hummus is unique and good. That does sound pretty yummy. Are you using, what you be dipping in that hummus, huh? It was only then that I noticed that he had something in his other hand, a folded up piece of paper, and when he put the gun on the armrest of the couch, unfolded it, then put it down in front of me, I saw it was a kind of collage. Each picture was of some kind of text message exchange from an app called Telegram, except for one, which showed the contact details of one of the participants. It was Jason. His picture, his cell phone. It was 100% him, and I assumed that the other participant was the guy's wife. I'm not sure why he brought it. Garlic pita chips with hummus. It's so good. It's so too good. Alex Love, welcome back for 32 months. It's good morning. Hope everything is going well. Can't believe I've been a member this long. Time flies when you're having fun. It really does. How you been, Alex? Glad you're doing okay. I'm not sure why he brought it. Maybe to show Jason so he couldn't deny it at all. In a way. What the fuck? I'm not sure why he brought it. Maybe to show Jason so he couldn't deny it all away. Maybe to show someone like me so they'd know it. Oh my god. Why is this sentence somehow complex in my brain? I don't even know why. I'm not sure why he brought it. Maybe to show Jason so he couldn't deny it all away. Maybe to show someone like me so they'd know it wasn't some kind of mistake. But either way, once he'd successfully broke in and accidentally bumped into me instead of Jason, he decided against the second half of his plan. And that is something I consider to be divine intervention, because I'm almost certain that if it was him that had woken up and gone downstairs to check on Buster, he would have died right there before I even knew what was happening. But because it was me, because it was someone the intruder saw as innocent, it gave him second thoughts. As he got up to leave, and I was filled with a wave of relief. Polly D, down under. Welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, Polly. As he got up to leave, and I was filled with a wave of relief so strong I could have burst into tears, he said to me, "I guess you're gonna call the cops now, right?" I shook my head for what seemed like the 20th time in minutes, but he says, "Nah, now you're gonna. And I'm dumb as hell for doing this in the first place." I felt a few last pangs of anxiety as he walked towards the patio doors, which were just ever so slightly ajar from where he'd somehow gotten in without waking us up. Or now that I think about it, maybe it did wake me up, and that's when I realized that I needed to pee, but I guess that's neither here nor there. Last thing I said before he walked out was a really shaky thank you, and I realized now that I was thanking him for 3 reasons. Firstly, it wasn't a thank you so much as trying to confirm that he wasn't about to change his mind and kill us. Secondly, it was a thank you for not hurting us. But thirdly, I was actually thanking him for telling me what Jason was doing. It didn't feel that way at the time. I still felt very protective of Jay and was glad that he wasn't hurt, but I know some of that feeling was in there somewhere, and if not, it certainly planted a... But I know some of that feeling was in there somewhere, and if not, it certainly planted a bizarre seed of gratitude in my head. After I thanked him, he stopped, looked back, and said, "He should be thanking you." Why does my voice crack every time? Dude, every time I go to do like a person, like a voice person, it's like the change from like deep to just like conversational, like fucks up my vocal cords, and I don't know why. Okay, I gargled now. We're good. He's in Kuwait. Really? Kuwait, interesting. I didn't even know we still had an active... Weird. After I thanked him, he stopped, looked back, and said, "He should be thanking you right now." And he was right. And I kind of feel a bit crazy. And he was right. And I kind of feel a crazy kind of guilt right now typing this, but my first instinct was to call the cops. There was no guarantee that he wasn't going to change his mind and come back. I didn't know if he'd been drinking or was crazy or anything else that might cause him to come back shooting. So that's what I did. I stumbled back upstairs. So that's what I did. I stumbled back upstairs on trembling legs, grabbed my phone, then called 911, waking Jason up in the process. It took a few minutes of describing what had happened to the operator before I was able to ask Jason, who was Mulaney. But the moment I did, I knew it was all true. You spend 3 years with someone, learning all their little quirks and tells, and you can read their facial expressions like a book. And what Jason's face said to me after I spoke that name was, "How do you know?" He tried to tell me he didn't know what I was talking about, that the guy was obviously mentally ill with some sort of paranoid schizophrenic delusions, and that the cops better get here quick because no one scares you He tried to tell me that he didn't know what I was talking about, that the guy was obviously mentally ill with some sort of paranoid schizophrenic delusions, and that the cops better get here quick. Now, hearing him even calling me baby during after all of that was the moment that I stopped loving him. Or at least when what I loved one.
I can't follow this shit. Ooga, ooga, ooga. Really good gargle. Really good gargle. Delicious gargle. Beautiful gargle you did there. You like the behind the scenes stuff? Yeah. Me going slowly insane. Bing bong. What's up, Galactic? Galactic.
He even called me baby during motherfucker. Even hearing him call me baby during all of that was the moment I stopped loving him. Or at least, when what I love.
What the fuck is this English? Or when what love I want. Okay, it is English, I'm sorry. I'm like mad at someone going through their most traumatic experience ever. I'm concerned with the grammar. Oh, I'm fucking nuts, dude. I'm sorry.
Or at least, when what love I once had for him started to die. It felt like a sick joke. I wasn't his baby, and if ever really had been, I sure as hell wasn't anymore. It was the way he used that threat to our lives as the perfect excuse not to talk about Melody. No, Melanie. What? Melanie.
Oh my god.
It was the way he used that threat to our lives as the perfect excuse not to talk about Melanie and how he'd been playing his hide the salami with her for the past effing who knows how long. He says stuff like, the only thing that matters is that we're safe right now. Everything else can wait, but I promise you, I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat, not, I don't know any Melanie, or I don't know what you're talking about. It was like he was sort of moving the goalposts, softening me up for some excuse or lie that was going to make everything okay. I don't think that I'd ever felt that kind of anger before, and when the cops finally arrived to take statements from each of us, I had to struggle to keep myself together. Now I know this might sound sort of Stockholm Syndrome-ish, but I don't really blame the guy for being as angry as he was. If my ex-boyfriend had kept his junk in his pants, there'd have been no reason for anyone to plan any messed up revenge killing. Should the guy have gone about it in a more responsible way? Sure. But we don't live in the perfect world where everyone does everything they're supposed to, and none of the stuff they're not. If we did, my boyfriend at the time might still be my boyfriend now, and not just a terrible memory that I have that forms the basis of why I find it hard to trust men these days. I know that's a prejudice on my part that I gotta deal with, at least my therapist tells me so, but I also know that I have a damn good reason for thinking that way. We broke up just a few days after the break-in. Jason never admitted to cheating, but like I said, I knew him well enough to know that he was lying, or at least when he was trying to hide at something.
Wait, what happened to the dude? What happened to the dude? Did he get arrested? Wouldn't he have to admit who Melanie is to get to the dude? What the fuck's going on? Where's the freaking salami? Where is it? Is it in her butt? Get it out here. We need to take a look at it and see if you've been cheating.
We broke up just a few days after the break-in. Jason never admitted to cheating, but like I said, I knew him well enough to know when he was lying, or at least when he was trying to hide something. To my knowledge, the cops didn't pick anyone up for breaking and entering with a deadly weapon or whatever kind of charge he would have gotten. I feel like they'd have gotten back in touch with me if they'd caught the guy, but they never did. No one was ever arrested as far as I know, and the guy with the gun just went on living his life, I guess. I don't know how things played out with him and his wife. I'd like to think that he showed her the same mercy as he showed me. I still think about him from time to time, especially whenever the subject of infidelity comes up. I don't think about Jason, though. Not too much, anyway, but whenever I do, I always think how things might have been much different if I hadn't been sleeping. She should be thanking Buster, dude. How come one of those 3 thanks didn't include a thank to Buster? Buster fucking saved your ass. Break in, break up. That's what you get for dating a J name, yeah. We are fucking hell on wheels. I don't think about Jason, though. Not too much, anyway, but whenever I do, I always think how things might have been much different if I hadn't been sleeping there that night. I owe Jason nothing, but sometimes I think he owes me his entire life. Duchess of Darkness, what's good? Having a rough night, Emily? I'm sorry to hear that. We can fix that. But all right. We are kind of flying through, though, right? A wee bit. We're steamrolling the competition. Cardiff. Welcome to Cardiff. Yeah, I guess overall I'm pretty thankful that the types of bugs that we have around Pennsylvania really aren't all that bad. What's the background soundtrack you use? It's actually it's custom made from Inekt, I-N-E-K-T. I do believe it's actually if you're a member, you can listen to it in the bonus content. It's basically just like underwater shit for a spooky good time. David, thank you for the 2, my friend. Can we get to 200 likes? I hope so. I hope we have the capabilities of doing so. You're really chill, my guy. First time listening to you live, but I listen to your video all the time to sleep. Thanks. Gothic Witch, good to see you. Kicking the crap out of these stories. Joel Amish, not quite, but I do see them from time to time out in the fields. My friends recently went to like an Amish market thing, but it was like legitimately at their farm, like pretty far out, and they said they got some really, really good like pulled pork and smoked pork and all sorts of tasty treats for like a whole ass meal that even came with like a whoopie pie, and it was only like $12. One of my first proper jobs was working as an overnight security guard around Barry, which is a town just southwest of Cardiff in Wales. It was an easy graft for the most part, and apart from a few close calls with some kids throwing stones, I was in more danger of getting caught sleeping on the job than being attacked or anything like that. And that's because all the places I guarded were what you might call low-risk guards. I was a young lad, barely out of school, with very little experience of working world. A big fuck.
Any new intros, or merch? There's some new intros for like the wood stories that's got like a troll on it, which is sick. Then there's like some other ones. Shit, there's a few other ones. Or wait, I think there's a special one for like true crime only videos where my guy is like floating towards an eyeball and it uses a sample. Robin made it. It uses a sample from fucking Heavy Metal, the movie, which is pretty sick. But no merch lately. You would annihilate some pulled pork right now. Sheesh, yeah, that would be really good. Your dog's freaking out at the ghosty in your bathroom. You'd have a ghost in your bathroom? Saw the one Jensen made. Yeah, dude. Jensen made a cool one too for the bonus content. But unfortunately, I had to send it to be edited by my sound guy, and then he put it into a video, and then he forgot to put the intro in there, so we didn't get to put that in yet. But I promise, the next bonus content, if it's stories, will for sure be including Jensen's intro. Any paranormal videos for Halloween? You know, maybe as some bonus content. But that would be good. That certainly would be some good shiz. The ghost turns on your shower? Jesus, dude. It's so weird. Sometimes ghosts, like, I don't know. Ghosts do like the most innocuous shit, you know, just like turn on small appliances and stuff, which is freaky. But I feel like the part that like ghosts do the worst, and we might not even realize it, is like the strange level of like spiritual oppression that they like impart via some sort of like energy transfer to our brains and soul or whatever the fuck it might be. And then the dreams, the spooky dreams. Make merch from the brainwash video thumbnail. Yeah, that one was pretty. Oh, that would be sweet actually if it just like had that and it just said brainwashed. That would be actually pretty fire, to be honest with you. Bone in ass content. All right. What's up, Violet? How you doing? I was a young lad, barely out of school, with very little experience of the working world. So my bosses weren't in any rush to give me too much responsibility, and as a result, I got all the sites with training wheels, essentially. Condemned building. Like trip on spit, what the fuck? Condemned buildings, vacant construction sites. I got all those kinds of jobs, and since there was next to nothing of value on any of them, there was next to no risk of myself or anything else guarding them. Fuck, dude. I just like miss like one little conjunction word, you know, what's like a word like to or of or those fucking words, just like I'll like skip over them and like realize I said the complete wrong one. Condemned buildings, vacant construction sites. I got all those kinds of jobs, and since there was next to nothing of value on any of them, there was next to no risk to myself or anything else guarding them. The only true incidents I had during my brief career in security were, 1, the knobheads that I found trying to rob copper wire who ran as soon as I appeared, and 2, the junkies looking for a place to shoot up who again ran away as soon as I emerged, and number 3, the bloke who tried to burn down the site that I was guarding, who made a surprise appearance in my dream I had a few nights after the incident. It's number 3 that makes up the story that I'm about to tell you today. I was on guard on an old special needs school that had been marked for demolition. I thought I saw a ghoul in my bathroom, but it was me looking in the mirror after getting out of the shower. I feel like that's gotta be the weirdest feeling when you're like 89 years old, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being 89 years old. You know, I wish our society would like get us like stoked about like living to be old, you know? Because like some people don't get to live old, you know? They die in their teens. Before that, they die in their 20s. They die in their 30s, you know, like I wish there was some sort of like honor to like making it to the elderly age, but I just have this like thought of being like 89 years old and you look in the mirror and you're just like, ah! Oh, that's me? That's fucking me? I'm hot as fuck, bro. You're 89 so long. Happy birthday, dude. Bottle my spit. I was on guard at an old special needs school that had been marked for demolition, a place called Greenways, and since the interior was deemed unsafe, I was posted in a porta cabin. Jesus fuck. Can I just realized I need to take some magnesium for sleep and shit. Can I take that and come back? Will y'all be still here? Waiting for me? I hope so. BRB. Whoops. You never downloaded Clip Clop? Probably smart. Clip Clop is stupid. But I will be starting, oh wait, yeah. I'm starting a new TikTok soon. I'm gonna have someone who makes all my shorts for, my Clips channel. Basically just running the TikTok and hoping that at least one of those motherfuckers pops off. That would be neat, I guess. I wonder what it's like to wander your house at 3 a.m. knowing 500 people are waiting for you to come back to be. Yeah, this is a little funny sometimes. Just sort of sitting up there. The power that I feel, keeping all of you waiting. I could be up there all night. What if I just never came back? Or I was just like, I don't know, maybe I stream until I'm 89 years old and like, I just get dementia and go to bed. And then the stream just stays on actually 24/7. And then I come back and I'm like, ugh, what's going on here? Something strange on my screen. Unlimited power. As I'm sitting up there just like shoveling a pickle into my mouth. I tell them magnesium, but I'm eating snacks. Before the internet, there would have just been 500 people waiting outside your house. I know. Exactly. That's what's really weird. I can't imagine like just a stadium, like, because 500 people, that's like a whole like fucking graduating class. Just like chilling in an auditorium for school or some shit, you know what I mean? And then I gotta get up on stage and talk about how literally nothing cool is happening in my life at all. Or nothing new and exciting, that is. Hey, Lila. I was on guard at an old special needs school that had been marked for demolition, a place called Greenways, and since the interior was deemed unsafe, I was posted in a porta-cabin situated in what used to be the school car park. It's been another easy guard. Nothing remotely eventful happened for weeks. Then, out of absolutely nowhere one night, I heard a loud smashing sound coming from the school. Someone was either vandalizing the place or was breaking in for some reason, and either explanation required a response on my part, so I got up, walked out of the cabin with my big mag-light torch that could have doubled as a melee weapon, and prepared to face off against whoever was damaging my guard. Like I might have mentioned, most people just scarper once they see some kind of security guard, so I wasn't all that worried, but definitely a bit apprehensive once I saw that whoever it was had smashed their way into the building via the old front doors. That meant that I'd have to go inside an old, dark school and patrol the corridors looking for whoever had broken in. I wasn't one of those guards who took things personally or let stuff raise their blood pressure, but I really didn't appreciate what this person was going to make me creep through. But I really didn't appreciate this person. It's strange that like Google Docs grammar things sometimes catches stuff and other times just like it's like lazy and doesn't care. We want Joe. We want Joe. Would you guys like legitimately like what? Like obviously you might like travel to a nearby city or something to see someone perform a musical event or something like that. But do you think you would ever go to a live venue wherein somebody like narrates something? Daniela, oh, I hope you're feeling better. Big ups from Chicago, Joel. Huge fan. Thank you, Julian. How's Chi-Town treating you? But I really didn't appreciate that this person was going to make me creep through the corridors like a freaking horror movie, shining my torch into rooms and waiting for that inevitable jump scare. But the second I walked inside, I knew getting a bit of fright was the least of my worries because all I could smell was petrol. It didn't even take long to find the person either.
We crossed paths in a corridor maybe only a minute or so after I walked in, and in one hand, they were carrying a jerry can, in the other, a knife. Obviously, I wanted to know what he was doing spilling petrol all over the place, but the knife had my complete attention. I started backing off, keeping my torch beam on the knife and saying things like, "There's no need for anyone to get hurt, mate. I'm no danger, just let me leave." I knew once I was out I could call the police and what have you, but bloody hell, seeing that blade had me absolutely cacking myself. Cacking? Is cacking a UK Welshian term? Cacking myself. Excrement. Oh, okay. Like shitting yourself. Alright, I guess that makes sense. Drive was less than an hour you would go and less than $100. Yeah, I feel like narration thing would have to be like that sort of like, oh, the kind of like whenever you like your friend tells you that there's like a farmer's market, you know, on Saturday, would you like to go? And you're like, I'll go look at some farm bullshit, you know? Go look at some freshly made whoopie pies or some fucking tomatoes. I don't know, whatever you do. But in a similar fashion, I feel like that would, you know, hey, this guy's down there, he's reading stories, dude. Tonight, you gotta fucking go, bro. We're gonna fucking rage. We're gonna pregame. It would be stand-up comedy amazing and side-splitting funny. I guess that would be fun. Maybe I could go off on some tangents about stuff, but I don't know if I would have the courage to really do the side tangents in front of a crowd or really even know like what commentary to give wherein I don't know. It'd just be like a completely different dynamic than me just like sitting in front of my desk on a screen. But like sitting in front of an audience of 500 people and trying to like say something that lands, I feel like I'll get a lot of like pity laughs, you know, like, that's funny. You're a fucking idiot! I have a Molotov cocktail in my hand. I should fucking light it on fire and throw it at you beneath your feet and engulf you in flames. That's what I would kind of anticipate to receive as far as feedback from the audience. I could be like Ghost and wear a mask. Yeah, I could wear a big dead mouse hat, but it's an actual like dead mouse. Be more like a live podcast. Yeah, that would be good. Storytelling has been a cherished art form since the dawn of language. Yeah, and I guess honestly, if I actually read these stories beforehand, I would fucking probably kill it going recording through. Because it's always so much easier knowing what you're about to like run into. Almost like like speed running a level. You're like, I'm familiar with this. You could have a big screen that's live chat to go with it. Oh, that would be dope. Yeah, live streaming the event as well. People donating and me actually twerking on stage. I'm never going to do any of this. I just want to clarify that. But I like to say words that pretend as if though it's reality. Bring me an actual soapbox. Hear ye, hear ye. Let's not meet. How about let's not meet? Brian, I'm a 14-year-old girl. Stage plank. Oh my god, yeah. See, I would actually have some motivation to do like a long plank. I would bring people up from the audience to do planks with me on some fucking yoga mats. Of course, I guess that's what, I don't know. We wouldn't do any of that, what's her name, Christine Ballinger weird shit or anything like that. Everyone would just be working out. No kids allowed at the show. This is, adults only plank fest. I knew once I was out that I could call the police and what have you, but bloody hell, Seeing that blade had me absolutely cacking myself. From what little I saw of him, I could tell the person in front of me was this older bloke, maybe late 30s or early 40s, and aside from the great big bloodied knife in his hands, he just looked like your average dude. He looked just as frightened of me as I was of him, and all he said as I backed off was, "Don't try and stop me." I told him I wouldn't dream of such a thing, and that he should be very careful throwing flammable liquid around like that, especially in an old wooden building. It seems like a daft thing to say in retrospect, but I think I wanted to make it clear to the guy that I was on his side. I wanted to make it look like I had his safety in mind too, even though all I could think about was legging it out of there and calling 999. He didn't respond to my first comment. He just kept on dousing the walls and floor in petrol, then moving along up the corridor. But then, once I was safely at the door, I called out down the corridor again.
"You're not gonna set this place on fire, are you?"
I barely got the words out before he turned around and screamed so hard his voice broke a bit. "You don't know what they did to me. You don't know what happened here. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know." This was echoing through the halls. And what do you even say to that? I mean, honestly, if that were you, what's your response to a guy screeching that at the top of his lungs? I don't know what you could have come up with, but I couldn't think of a single thing. All my brain power was taken up wondering what happened to him that was so terrible that he had to be... Ugh. Starts a planking cult, yeah. We'll start some goat yoga. The land of imagination, king of the castle. I'm the king of the internet. Oh yeah, I didn't even get the voice crack. Oh well. All my brain power was taken up wondering what happened to him that was so terrible that he had to burn it down. I never came up with anything, not on the spot, but I knew the best thing for me to do was put as much distance between me and this bloke as possible. And the last thing I heard him say as I was on the way out was something like Helena or some girl's name, and because of the implications of what he said, I assumed a girl named Helena had gone through something terrible and not the guy looking to burn the place down. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but it was an old special needs school, and the bloke didn't seem like... My fucking bone just popped there, fuck. Elephant yoga, yeah. We're doing some elephant yoga. And his whole fucking body gets squooshed. Andrew WK and Powerman 5000 were big shows too. Yeah, they're gonna come to Let's Read Fest. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but it was an old special needs school, and the bloke didn't seem like he had anything wrong with him, at least not on the surface anyway. Not that any of that mattered, because I was in no position to start prying into the guy's life. I needed to just get away from him, then ask questions later, maybe even get answers from a newspaper depending on how bad things actually got, who knows. I didn't think the Portakabin would be safe, not if he was planning on turning that old school into some blazing inferno, so I ran all the way into the car park, past the main gates, across a dual carriageway, then called the police from a bus shelter on the other side. I was in a well-lit public place, but I could still see the school, or at least I could still see some of its silhouette against the night sky, and there was no way that I was calling the police from anywhere else. The last thing I wanted was for this guy to be able to use the sound of my voice to hunt me down on a dark street. I'd been frightened enough for one night. I remember the 999 lady asking if I needed police, fire, or ambulance, and me saying, I think all three. I told her about the guy, about his knife, and how he seemed all frantic and wanting to burn the old school down. So she'd send police first and kept me on the line to keep an eye out for signs of smoke or flame. I don't know if that was all the adrenaline making it seem like time was dragging on, but it got to the point where I thought the bloke might have changed his mind, or, I don't know, broken his lighter or dropped his matches. After getting caught in the act, you'd think that he'd have hurried things along, but it took longer than I'd expected to see the flames, and once they took quick, and the whole place seemed to go up like a great big bloody tinder blocks. Tinder blocks. Fuck. Laura O'Connor with the 5 gifters to Aaron Wilson, Calevra, Rowdy, Z, and Beatrice Farias. Thank you, Laura, for the 5 gifters. Appreciate you. Y'all have now access to bonus contento. To some big boner content. You guys rock, dude. Attack of the Mischievous Frogs. It's funny, I feel like the reason I also went over to my friend's house too is just I don't know. Do you guys ever just feel like the weeks, I've said this before probably a million times, but sometimes I just feel like the weeks sort of, I don't know, they just fucking sort of blend together, you know? They just blend into the next, and it's like the week, for me, the weekend honestly goes by so fast, and I feel like I barely do anything for it at all anymore. I was supposed to go do some stuff with some friends, but then my friend said that he took too hard of a dab rip on a friend's pen, and then fell, hit his head, and ended up with a concussion in the hospital where he was throwing up. And in my mind, I'm like, well, thank God that happened, because I thought he was ducking me. That would have been sad. But he's all right. He aight. This year's too fast. Wait till you're my age. Yeah, what do you, well, I don't want to bug into your life or anything like that, but I mean, what is, the thing, looking back, if you could look back to, 33, right? However long ago that was, what would be the advisory for that person, or maybe someone in their 30s, because I'm kind of in that zone where, basically people that I knew in my 20s and stuff just don't really want to do anything anymore. They just generally don't have any interest in, socializing the way that we did in our 20s, and I understand that. People move on to different things, blah, 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 but it is very, very quite boring. I guess I don't know, and I feel like I lack a lot of creativity in regards to dictating my own little adventures in life and trying new things. Chrissy Meowery, thank you for the gifter to Violet Van Dusen. Everybody has his or her own hamster wheel. That's true. I don't know. Because I used to feel as if though I was working towards something. And I still kind of feel that way sometimes, but I'm just not sure what that is anymore. Because, whenever I was doing YouTube trying to escape my old job, that was a good feeling. Every time I got closer, because it was holy shit, this could be a reality. And then it happened, and it's very cool. And then you get to 1 million subs, and you're like, okay, that's cool too. But then I'm just wait, what do I do now? I can only imagine how, I don't know, people fucking Jacksepticeye or somebody feels I'm sure he has a good life and he's having a fun time or whatever, but you think about people who have just been killing the game for so long and are in such a position of wealth and success that, but then you're also I imagine being a really successful Let's Player probably feels to some degrees a little bit it's probably fun because you get to be silly and play video games and you enjoy it,
But I imagine as you get into like because we're about the same age, I think. I'm like the same age as like Markiplier, PewDiePie, and Jacksepticeye. And I can only imagine like just sitting down trying to be like top of the morning all the fucking time, and you're just kind of like, we're gonna play this spooky game for the 9,000th time that's dog shit and just has like a jump scare in it, and I'm gonna have to like overreact. And yeah, oh, that's true too. Yeah, and having the fan base of like 10 to 14-year-olds, because you couldn't, you can't talk to them. You know what I mean? You can't have like both in like, you wouldn't be able to relate to any of them, but also the fact that it would be creepy too, even if you weren't like a bad person necessarily. You would just kind of have to like act as if though you're like super involved in whatever the fuck they give a shit about, but then also realize that they're just, you kind of keep them at like arm's length away. Or like even if you ran into them in public, you just have to be like, hey, all right, have a good one, thumbs up, goodbye, 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 and like run away. Ah! At least you're doing something productive. That's true, Fry, that's true. But you are too now. You're a YouTuber. You're a YouTuber with how many subscribers did you just get from this stream? Justin, I shouldn't be bitching. I'm not trying to bitch. I was told earlier by a friend when I said I'm not trying to complain about something unrelated. He was like, the cool thing about complaining is that no one can tell you that you're not allowed to do it. So you can just do it. So that's what I'm just going to do. I'm just going to complain. We're going to brainstorm. I really do want to start an animation channel, but I'm also kind of wondering to myself, like, is that the ticket? I don't know. I want something to occur that takes me somewhere, like takes me fucking somewhere. And that like do something that ends up making me get on a plane or some shit to interact with another human being. Jesus died at 33. That's true. I'm probably on my way out here soon. If you guys plan on crucifying me, just let me know, so I can pencil that in. Hey, it's Hawk. What's up, Squawkity Dockety? I could try acid. I tried acid back when I was like 27. On my 27th birthday. And I told this story before, but basically, it just made me feel as if though... It made me feel two things. It made me feel as if though there might not be a God, which made me really scared, and made me kind of like hopeless and a little sad throughout the whole thing. But it also made me realize that like people don't really give a fuck about you that much, I realized that. I'm like, people, like, if you're... Smashy N, thank you for the gifter to Alfonso. Alfonso, you now have access to bonus content. But my thought process was like, at least when I was on acid, was like, people don't really care too much about your issues. Like, they'll sit there and listen to your issues. Like, right now, I'm not trying to impart any of my issues, because I don't have necessarily issues per se. It's more just like advanced boredom in my mind. Like, you kind of get so used to going down the rabbit hole of life where it's like, oh, you're in college, you got to do or high school, college, you got to do this, and then you eventually will get to here, and then you'll do this homework, and then you'll graduate, and blah, blah, blah. And then you make, then you got to like produce, you got to be productive in society and make the moolah and blah, blah, blah. And then you should do this with your moolah to make sure you feel good about, and secure and blah. And then it's like you complete those tasks, and then you complete the tasks, and you're just like, I've done all the tasks, but none of them fucking matter at all. They're all so fucking pointless. There's so many people that live like really well-meaning and happy-go-lucky lives with lots of like love and laughter and food and joy, with like next to fucking nothing in their bank account, for all of history ever, But yeah, I realized when it comes to who, when I was doing the acid, the microdosing of acid, I realized like when I wanted to be the person that you want to be, at least this is what I thought, was like, you don't want to be too fucking annoying. You don't want to be an annoying fucking person, you know, who has problems all the time, right? You're that person that always got a fucking problem, you always got an issue, and you got to tell everybody about it, and it never gets better, and you're always looking for like their sympathy in a weird way, but you're not, because like, you know, you can't outright say that, you know. So I just realized, I'm like, there's no one that actually really gives a shit about you. They only give a shit about how you make them feel, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're constantly the person that's like bringing your baggage and annoying garbage to another person all the time with your issues all the time without really making them feel good whilst doing so, you're probably in a position in which that person is not really stoked to be around you, even if they're like the most empathetic individual ever. You know what I mean? Get hair plugs, buy a flashy car, then cruise the streets around the colleges. That sounds pretty hot, actually. I'll get a toupee. I'll sew on a toupee, just for the fuck of it. And basically, in some ways, it's like you kind of want to be the person that like definitely listens more than talks, even though I've been fucking jabbering all night. But yeah, there's a lot of individuals that like they have issues, and even if it's like the most innocuous thing, what am I even trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, when I took the schmacid, I put it under my tongue, I realized just be chill. Just be chill most of your life, even whenever it's fucking like things are dog shit. Just be a stoic, not completely stoic where you don't feel any emotions to things, but just understand that like even when your life is going hard or it's rough, or maybe you have a lot of chaos in your mind, don't bring that chaos to someone else's life, because eventually your existence is just going to become in a monkey-esque association in their head. As soon as they see you walk in the room, they're gonna be like, fuck. Or like, you know, you get online and they're like, fuck, they want to tell me all their bullshit and I just don't care and I can't relate. You want to be chocolate. You want to be a chocolate human being, you know? When they see you, their mouth starts fucking watering. It's sweet. It fills their head with little gumdrop, you know, dopamine rush. We should have a call-in show. That would be interesting, just to chat about some stuff. I get worried a little bit about how chaotic that could get. Make a bucket list and go out and live your life, Joel. Okay, yeah. After the story, we're gonna make a bucket list for me to go do. Kimberly Beckstrom with the 5. Thank you. But definitely tell it. I'm not saying you shouldn't tell people your problems, because like, but you have to recognize that there's a fine line. Almost, I suppose maybe some of those people that like constantly impart their issues on others might not even realize what they're doing. I guess it was mainly just for me, is that you just want to be that guy. You want to be that reliable person. You want to be that reliable, chill individual. You just want to like start personality maxing as many fucking possible things. Like, you want to be useful, you want to be interesting, you want to be funny, you want to be kind, you want to be, or you know what? If you have any of those like positive traits, being funny, kind, interesting, smart, useful, like just, if you just lean into those as hard as fucking possible, and just amplify them. Alright. Basically everything I've said tonight is complete nonsense, but it's fine. I was high on acid when it happened. Alright, Laura with the 5. Gifters, thank you so much, Laura. 2 Bold BBQ Dorito. Brittany Carbajal, and Ashley McCann, and Big Red 101, and Lex. Thank you, Laura. And you all have access to bonus content. You can gift memberships. You can, Mike. That's pretty neat. And not Jackie Chan with the 10 says, Joe, I'd like to do something where we can bring your stories and community members' stories to life. I'm working on a video presentation to send you. Really hope you like it. Yeah, email that to me. Tag me in it. Joel, go to Ireland. I would like to go to Ireland. I think that would be a beautiful place to visit, and maybe I will do so. Let's fucking do it. Let's go to Ireland. I'm gonna make a bucket list. And after I finish the list, I'm killing myself. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. But if it happens wherein someone kills me, that also wouldn't be good. So don't just any bad things, stay away from me, okay? Ireland, go to. Got that written down. Say ooh woo. Ooh woo. Ooh woo. You love my animated stories? Nice. I was actually talking to Axeman Cartoons today. He's starting up, he lives in Canada now, and he's starting up animation school. So he's probably not going to be able to help me with any animations for a while, but maybe he will. Thinking about joining the Chilling app. Yeah, do it up. Number 1, visit So Long. Is So Long a place or a person? 33 is the perfect time to make a bucket list, start crossing things off. Can't stress that enough. Okay. So we got Ireland on the list. And then after Ireland, we'll go to Afghanistan. And after Afghanistan, we'll go to Ukraine. After getting caught in the act, you'd think that he'd have hurried things along. But it took longer than I expected to see the flames, and once they took quick, and the whole place seemed to go up like a great big bloody tinderbox. The police arrived first, and obviously they were going nowhere near that burning building. They just stopped outside the gates with their lights on, and I went over to meet them. They were just like me, really, in total disbelief at what the bloke had just shouted before I finally removed myself from the situation. I tried to give them as good a description as I could, but I'd been so focused on the knife on the way out that the bloke's face was just sort of a blur in my memory at that point, and it was pretty dark, I guess. After that, there wasn't much left for me to do but leave a message on my boss's answering machine, letting him know about the fire and then go home for the night. Only problem was, I was so full of adrenaline that sleep didn't come easy after I finally arrived back at my mom and dad's house. I got home at about 1 in the morning and then stayed up till 5 or coming up on 6 in the morning because I couldn't get what the fella had said out of my mind. I ended up typing the name of the old special needs school into Google, and after a fair bit of sifting through the articles, I found something very shocking at first, but which proved Fuck, I got spit all in my fucking mouth. How many buckets Joel need? Buckets. How many buckets? That'd be a good way to end a live show. Have a different way you off yourself at the end. Yeah, but then I come back each time. What the fuck? You just have the most like traumatic experience ever, like dying, and then you're just like back. What? And like somebody donates $30 and you have to twerk, and you're just like. But which proved to be a bit of a damp squib. I don't know if any of you have heard of the satanic panic that took place during the 80s. I certainly hadn't until that night, but for those that have, bear with me while I break it down for a second for those that haven't. Basically, in the late 80s, there was this sort of mental wave of satanic abuse accusations all across the US and UK, all at the same time and all roughly the same story. As you can imagine, there were all kinds of investigations into it, but from what I read, almost each and every case turned out to be complete bollocks. Don't get me wrong, there were 1 or 2 cases that were real and ended up with child abuse convictions and jail time, but the vast majority were these made-up stories based on witch hunt-style accusations, hence the name Satanic Panic. One such scandal
happened in my native Wales in 1990, but again, it turned out to be some nonsense. Out of nearly 100 accusations, only one kid ended up in the care of social services, and that was down to neglectful parents, not systematic satanic abuse. But then, I found another article about an actual cult which had been practicing the exact kind of satanic child abuse described by people during the Satanic Panic. 5 people went to prison over it in 2011, like it was a real thing that you can look up yourself and read about, and I did plenty of reading about it that night. Some of the details are horrific, so I don't fancy repeating them here, but the bit that really caught my attention was the bit that said the cult based their practices around the idea called thelema. Now, Wikipedia will definitely do it better than I ever could, so here's what it has to say about thelema. Thelema is some Western esoteric and occult social or spiritual philosophy and a new religious movement founded in the early 1900s by Aleister Crowley, an English writer, mystic, occultist, and ceremonial magician. Central to thelema is the idea of discovering and following one's true will, a unique purpose and calling that goes beyond ordinary desires. Crowley's system begins with the Book of Law, a text that he said was dictated to him by an entity named Aiwass. This foundational work lays out key principles, including the central axiom, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." This principle emphasizes personal freedom in the pursuit of one's true path, while being guided by love and finding one's authentic purpose. But then, how is this connected to the burning down of the special needs school, I hear you ask? Well, remember when I thought that bloke said Helena, like he was referring to the daughter or sister that could have suffered abuse at the school? I don't think he was saying Helena. I think he was saying thelema. I don't know how deep this whole thing goes, and frankly, I haven't got the wherewithal to go digging it all up. I'm not some journalist. I work in IT these days, and I do enough overtime trying to pay the electricity bills as it is. I don't even know if there's a real connection there either, and I can't be certain about the whole thelema thing if I'm being honest. It could just be an overreaction on my part to a bloke who was completely out of his mind, and there's no nonsense to make from any of it. But if I'm wrong about that, and it goes as deep as my darker suspicions lead me to believe, then it might make for a good piece of content for your channel, you know? Anyway, that was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me while I was working security. Definitely the only time I was in any real danger anyways, and I hope it makes for something for YouTube. If not, all the best with your channel.
Boom, shaka. Joel, I love farting. Hell yeah, Chris. Same here. It feels good when you get a good fart out and it just like rumbles the whole fucking top floor of your home. That's something that really can only be described as divine intervention. Our true purpose in life was founded very early on in our evolution. Monkeys fucking let it rip. And they would just cackle and laugh all night, every night, around the fire. Dude, there was like this one... God. I hate this guy. I fucking hated this guy. It was like, it's like one of those like typical like Joe Rogan clips, you know, where the guy... What did he say, though, exactly? I hate him, but I don't remember what he said. How cool of me. He said something like... What was it again? It was like it was like he would talk about like going to bed, like how our ancestors, you know, they would go to bed and then they would just like wake up in the middle of the night, you know, and then they would... And I remember it was just like the stupidest fucking thing how like esoteric he was trying to make like the most simplest thing where like most of us wake up at like 2, 3 a.m. and go like take a piss or like get a sip of water and then take a piss, or like clean the piss out of our bed because we pissed the bed, things like that. But like he was like, they would, you know, it was as if though it was a process similar to the terminology of like intermittent fasting, but for like waking up in the middle of the fucking night. And it was like, they would wake up in the night, our ancestors, when they lived in villages, and they would wake up and they would dance and they would make love, and there was so much freedom, you know. I'm like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about? Like, you act as if though people born like 1,000 years ago every day was just fucking Burning Man or some shit. It was not. They probably woke up in the middle of the night, went and pissed on the outskirts of the fire, and then got picked off by a jaguar. Like every good boy does. Also, I noticed when I had a pen in my hand, because we're writing down bucket list shit, and I had a pen kind of between my fingers, right? And I almost feel as if though that little sort of like fidget spin vibe that I had going on between my fingers kept me somehow able to just like continue to read that story with no mistakes. So I'm kind of wondering if there's some sort of aspect of like giving your fingers something to do whilst reading that keeps you focused. Laura O'Connor with a 5 Canadian maple syrup dollar says, better singer in 30 days with these videos. Better singer in 30 days with these videos. I want to be the very best like no one ever was. Better singer in 30 days with these videos. I want to be the very best like no one ever was. Is that what you're asking me to do? Sing that? Joel, are you a smart fella or fart smelling? Bro, I'm a mixture of both. I'm sort of like in between. I'm like hotboxing myself, bro, while fucking using the fart fumes to think of some like new philosophies and shit, bro. You feel me? Get a silent fidget clicker. Oh. What about this one? I'm actually not very good at that. Damn. It was kind of funny when we were playing Pokemon. No, what the fuck was it? Mario Party, the newer one. My one friend, like whenever we had to like tap a button, like ta 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 ta. Like he must have perfected this when he was like 8 years old and just like never lost that skill. Just like unlocked some like neurological pathway that allows him to win mini games on demand. But you know, whenever we had to like tap the A button as fast as fucking possible, like some of us would get like, I don't know, something like 30 taps, and then you would go to his and it would be like in the 60s, and you're like, how the fuck? How? It's fucking Jason Bourne, bro. ASMR for free? For free? Alright. Well, we kind of burned through those stories pretty quickly, which is, well, you know, it's almost 3 hours. Pretty typical stream length. Oh shit, it's almost 4 a.m. though, that's the bad part. We're in the midst of the witching hour. But you gotta help me think of something funny to say. Something funny to say. Shout out your wife, Lauren Golden, who just... Oh, I'm sorry about that, Lauren. Apologize. It sounds like I should be writing more, but I'm just staring at my notepad. Yeah, sometimes I feel like too much stimulation, like having a chat log going and me talking probably is a bit of too much of a distraction for somebody trying to write. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m., and there are super fun live streams every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. I'd love to see you there. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let'sReadOfficial, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts.
All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, say, how can you see without eyes? You can't. And remember, how can you see without eyes? You can't. Remember, break in equals break up. And remember, short people get rained on last. This is true. And remember, I'm friends with your mom. See, that would be a good one, I think. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, I'm friends with your mom.
Ooh, woo. Pretty, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing, Mr. Boy? His belly is so full. Oh my god. He's such a babby. You can squeeze him, and all of his juices just explode out. Sorry, that sounds gross. Just kidding. I'm not squeezing him that hard. But he has a very good boy. Okay. Alright, get the fuck out of here. Just kidding. Okay, bucket list time. You guys can come up with ideas for yourself, too. Of what you gotta, because it's kind of crazy. Like, next year we're going to war, right? They got it planned out already. CIA, Pentagon, all that shit. So we got to do some stuff before we all get drafted and killed. So what is that going to be, friends? We could ask ChatGDP. Lovely T, welcome back for 8 months to saying hello, sending nothing but good vibes to everyone. Love you, Buttersocks. Thank you, Lovely T. Good to see you. We could ask ChatGPT. Actually, we could ask ChatGPT. Can you make a bucket list of 100 things we should do before we die? Of course, of course. And he's like, if you could die sooner, that'd be great. Rare GAT sighting. Earplugs not toupee. Too late. I already got the toupee. It's on. It's my streaming toupee. Visit Tanzania. Okay, I'll get that one down. Tanzania. The beer can support life so long as it's actually scary. You ever make them dance? Pradeep can do a bit of a dance from time to time. Oh yeah, flashy car. Well, you know, that's not a bad thing, actually. I've had the same car for like actually 10 years now. It's probably time for a flashy one. Flashy car to impress dumb people. Just kidding. Cars are cool though. Cars are cool, I just don't really care about them that much, you know what I mean? I think when I see them, I'm like, whoa, cool car, but like, I get the same feeling from seeing like someone like driving an actual Ferrari that I get from seeing someone like driving around a little RC car, you know? Like, I'm just like, oh, that's sweet. Pretty neat, huh? Goes fast. Hit jump. Do spin. You wanna make a 3D voxel game with me? All I'd need is your ideas. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Would you like a Rolex one day? Nah, I'm not really about... I mean, I wouldn't mind like a gold chain. You know, some people wear gold chains. And there's a part of me that kind of wants to wear like a sick-ass gold Jesus piece. You know, just for the fuck of it, to see it and like... And it to actually be real. Like it to be like a real thing. It's like diamond studded and shit. And they're like, people see it and they're like tempted to kill me to take it from me. That's how cool I want it to look. And authentic. That might be bad though. I feel like gold is a little, I feel like it's got like spiritual qualities of corruption. You know, you have too much gold around you, you start to like, you get a little weird, man, you know. I want to bust a rhymes chain, yeah. I got a midget hanging from my necklace. Give half my savings to charity. You know, I'm not really in that spot yet. I'm not Mr. Beeps. I'm more in the give half my savings to, buying a gilded cross that I wear as fashion. Visit North Korea. Exactly. That sounds chill. I hear it's nice this time of year. Your skin's too pale for silver. Oh my god, they just can't see it. Giants Causeway, North Ireland, Loch Ness, Scotland. Oh yeah. Yeah, we could just hit up everywhere and go over there. Anybody over there that wants to hang out and can show me around? I guess that's the bad thing is, I feel like in America, like traveling 4 hours is like people travel 4 hours a day in their car for their job. But like in the UK, traveling 4 hours is like beginning your like Pokemon adventure as like Ash, like you're just like not coming home. You just visited Paris. Oh yeah. Yeah, Ireland. Yeah, Ireland, Japan, Japan. Well, okay, places. Places have been to Vegas. I've never been to Las Vegas. It hasn't really, perhaps, I guess, interested me as a place because all you can really do is sinful thing. No, I'm just kidding. But like, gambling is kind of stupid because you're technically not supposed to win. It's a bit rude to win, don't you think? Paris, Las Vegas, Morocco. Well, not here. No more places. Think more like activities or things. Run a marathon. Ugh. I guess that'd be cool. Just like long. I used to long distance run a lot. I used to trail run pretty fucking far back in the day. And it definitely makes you feel good. You get that runner's high at one point, and you do feel like empty of all of your impurities as they build up in your glands and whatnot. Oh, the bill of beans, that's true. I'll show you the Netherlands. I'm sure you can find more people in other countries. That'd be fun. Just visit every country. And I guess I could just like record stories on the go. I just need a laptop and an internet connection. Oh shit. I see it popped up in chat. Laura, I'm gonna just hopefully it'll kick on here eventually. I don't know why it didn't. I hate how there's a delay on fucking shit. I don't really get it. I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them in my real test, to train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Teach Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Teach them how to twerk. Dude, imagine teaching Jinx how to twerk. There's no way that they didn't use Jinx's mouth for something else at some point. Laura, thank you so much for the big $50 Canadian donatiano. There was like a day when I was younger when Pokemon was just like this magical fucking mystery land. I miss those days. Sometimes I wish I was just like, I had like the mind of my little childlike wonder, It was a gloomy night. Supernatural forces were extremely powerful. He wiped his face with tissue paper. Little had he realized it was sandpaper. Now blood is oozing out of his face. Yucky. I thought you were going to say, like, wiped it with, like, used toilet paper and he smeared shit on his face. Your husband was just singing that? Nice. Twerk, twerk, twerk. Deep sea diving. Oh, that is, like, one of my fears, dude. Like swimming in like an area where there could be great whites. The greatest whites. It'd just be so fucking scary, dude. And I guess technically if you're swimming next to them, well, I don't know. Don't great whites only attack on the ambush from like underneath, right? No, that's not true. I've seen that where they go at the cages from. Oh god. Well, this is the thing too. Is like you don't really see. They could only be like 15 meters away, but the water kind of like blends them in, so you just don't see it coming. Someone's username is learn a new language and have a conversation with a person that speaks that language. Oh no, that's the username is period. I thought that was like a spam bot. Learn a new language, have a conversation, speak. Yeah, that would be good actually. New language. Cage diving. Ugh. Fuck that shit, dude. We're just not meant to go in the ocean. Everybody just stay out of the ocean, man. Would you rather skydive? Maybe, but I just always imagine like you get into a helicopter, you do skydiving, you do one of those things, and you just have one of those like freak accidents where, you know, or you could be one of those people that jumps on like a random shitty like, you know, Goodwill fucking submarine, and then you go to visit the Titanic and just implode in 3 seconds. I wonder if they had like a really like, he's like, oh, I've got a splitting headache, and then they just turned into goo. Take dance lessons. Oh, dude, you know that's actually a good. I would like to take piano lessons or some kind of shit. I wonder if they have make beat lessons. Make hip hop beat lessons. I know people can teach you online and shit, but I just feel like the touch of having someone like near you to teach you how to do that shit will be fucking fire. It's like I'm sure it would be a rush, you know, to fall from a plane, even if you were like connected to like one of the trainers or whatever, one of the people who have done it forever. But all it takes is like one stupid fucking thing where your chute just doesn't go off and you're just like, ah, you know, because like just, and it's like what, you just jumped out of a plane for entertainment and now you're dead. It's not even worth it. And you didn't even make like a living will to give, you know. Now the government gets all your money. Write a novel. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Novel / comic. Comic. Cooking class. Yeah, that could be fun. Cooking classa. Swing dance. I would try it, I guess. Zip line. I've done zip lining. Yeah, that one's. I've done it where it lands, like goes from the top of like a side of a cliff into the mountain or into the water at the bottom. Photography. That's true. Just ain't worth it. Thanks, but no thanks. I've watched Final Destination far too. Exactly. Yeah. I wonder if haven't people survived like falling out of planes before? Is that possible? If you land in the right amount of like the right pile of, maybe if you land in like a barrel of hay, kind of like Assassin's Creed. A novel that's published by an actual publishing company. That would be challenging. I guess that's just, I don't know, I think about like Stephen King and shit. I guess it's just all he did was just write. Just sits and writes, goes for a walk, thinks of ideas, writes, comes back, right. But I wonder how much I have to drink before I write it for it to be good. Visit every state. This happened multiple times, surviving that's crazy, dude. 120 miles per hour is terminal velocity. Yeah, but you can like survive that shit? Caving like in descent. I have actually caved before. There's some places around here, abandoned areas that you can access like old mines and cave systems and stuff. And caving it's cool when it finally gets to an open area, but like just all of the different pathways and caves like splinter in so many different directions that it's just so fucking disorienting that like by the time you get out you're just like even if it's like nighttime you just feel like you're like the world, we're free. Come looking for Sasquatch. That would be fun. How the hell have we not had any good like recent Sasquatch sightings? I feel like there's been nothing good ever. There's just no fucking way that we have like satellite, heat signature imagery and we haven't seen like one large beast running across the plains. Join Survivor or Big Brother. Oh god, I would not fit in. I saw a rescuer being picked up by helicopter. If it wasn't for the seriousness, it looked so fun. Oh, yikes. Join Ninja Warrior. Dude, I remember that. It was like a girl at work. She's like, I think you could be on Ninja Warrior. I was like, I would not be on Ninja Warrior. She's like, what do you mean? I think you could do it. I'm like, why is that the first sport you thought I could do is Ninja Warrior? It's like nothing else. Just like go right to Ninja Warrior. Bigfoot's just, maybe it's just very blurry. I just don't understand the people that say like Bigfoot fucking is like some interdimensional creature or some shit. Like who the fuck thought of that shit? Interdimensional creature or like from the future and is visiting to see humans or something, like a vacation. You need to visit White Sands. A explosion tested. That's why they're white in the Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. That's so fun. Interesting. I can't think of anything exciting because I've already done exciting. You've already done exciting stuff. I just want to do boring stuff now, like building a food forest. A food forest? What's that? It's just full of like candy and treats. Yeah, I just remember like going down into the caving system, and at one point you were supposed to like crawl through this like really, really narrow area, but like on your back, and you had to like just shimmy your way through as almost like a way of like showing that you're cool or something. It was not cool. Didn't feel any cooler after I did it. I just felt like dirty and like almost terrified that I was gonna get like caught. I need more friends. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's the tough thing about YouTube is like you don't really meet like casual new acquaintances that live anywhere near you or all that kind of shit. You're in an interdimensional relationship with Bigfoot girl. She never shaves her hoo-ha. It's impossible. Am I Canadian? Nah. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding. Siri, where they saw words in 1 hour to take a bigger and quit called out, so that might be one reason it's there. Wait, what did you say? Where they... Oh, message retracted. Get over the fear of his fans. There's a lot of good people out there that truly enjoy his good company. I'm not afraid of my fans. I would hang out with them. I just haven't really, you know. Catch the Aurora Borealis. That would be fucking sick. That actually would be really cool. Where do you do that at? I sound Canadian. I say sorry. Sorry. I can't believe it. I'm so sorry about that. Well, what about all of that even makes any sense? You always wanted to go kayaking? Yeah, kayaking's nice. I love kayaking, actually. I mean, I've done it through stream. I mean, the most fun I had is whenever you just do it in like moving streams or moving rivers and stuff, and it just takes you so far. You just like, it's almost like you're on a little adventure, like Huckleberry Finn or whatever, just exploring, you know, different characters as you go along. different locations. I remember it was while I was on a kayaking little trip that I was like, it was really weird. I was like 1 inch away because I was kind of coming up on a shore and there was just this huge beaver. But it was just so funny as I got closer. I could have touched him if I wanted to, but he just, like, the way he looked at me, it was just like, what the fuck? How is he so close? Who are you? Beavers are a lot bigger than you anticipate. Thankfully, he didn't have like a rabid freak out and like just saw my head off with his teeth. This was the sound between Kermit the Frog and Jordan Peterson. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Jordan's so funny. Oh my god. Well, how about that then? How about that? Well, that's not going to get you very far. Well, at least not very far. It's always funny like listening to his like line of thinking, because he's always just going from like, he's got like one point, but then he like jumps back and makes a point about the other thing. Then you never know, like, well, that's going to be hell on earth, isn't it? When you cut your toast, or you know, when they cut the bread off your toast in the morning, and when your mommy cuts your crust off your sandwich and then you don't have it. Sometimes it's good to experience. Sometimes it's good to experience the crust. The crust. It represents postmodernistic ideals of rough edges. Try paddleboarding in the ocean if you haven't. Oh man, that would be scary as fuck. Because like that's the one where you're like standing. Because like kayaking is one thing, which I guess you could get flipped with that, which would fucking suck too, getting flipped. And because when we were in Florida, like we were kind of in the Gulf, I guess, going through the mangroves and stuff. You think he's got early onset Alzheimer's? I don't think so. He seems pretty lucid in his conversations. Just not the bottom crust. Imagine trying stuffed crust. That's an amalgamation. That's an absolute capitalistic nightmare right there. Stuffed crust. Say goodbye to your health, young man. Getting ready for your son's, Cohen's, first day of college. My daughter Maria's third year in high school today. Love the live. So glad I caught this from the beginning. Oh, dude. Ireland, what's up? Where should we visit in Ireland if we go there? Los Alamos, because my grandfather worked in the labs there on atomics. Oh, interesting. They're lobotomizing Peterson. Yeah, they're gonna... take his frontal lobes. Learn how to ride a surfboard. That would be crazy. Man, that actually takes a lot of fucking balls, I feel like. Just getting out there and just being like, just essentially looking like a little eel waiting, or like a fucking seal waiting to be dominated by a great white. I cannot imagine being one of those people like in the midst of a fucking wave, just a shark comes up and just catapults you in the air, dude. Learn how to tell a joke. There you go. I'll see what I can do. Are you doing Kermit or Jordan Peterson? Because it's impossible to tell. Something in between. Something far, far in between. Between the realms of reality and parody. No one will ever know. But I will have the last laugh. See who cancels who. Wokingsons. Crash a wedding. I did actually. I remember in a town over, and it was actually on my birthday. I was at a friend's place, and I saw this like, it was a weird little town, but they have this like group of people were having almost like a cookout, like slash bonfire slash playing cornhole and shit, almost like a tailgate or something for football or something like that. And I remember going to that and just kind of like showing up and they didn't necessarily think I was weird for doing it, but I just like hung out with them for a while and just kind of said what's up. And Dania, thank you for the membership and welcome to the Buttersock cult. You now have access to bonus content. Jordan Peterson, lobsters are so amazing, especially with garlic butter sauce. Yeah. Up yours, woke moralist. I love all the memes with him where it's like they add it into like Fallout 76 and like old video games and shit. This shit's so funny. Or like the ones with Alex Jones too, where he's like Warhammer 40K. Dude, it's so funny. I don't know. It's just like so weird to like see how like bent out of shape like people get about everything in the world. It's so strange. Because like eventually like there was like sort of this strange type of thing around like 2015 to 2016 where it's almost like the culture did this like reversal in a weird way of like creating this sort of like Puritan sense of approaching things, but almost trying to pretend as if though like entertainment and politics and all of the in-between like never did anything that was ever like trying to push the boundary of like, I don't know, offensive or what do you want to say, shock humor, because I don't know, seeing sort of like culture kind of move backwards in that sense has always been such a strange thing, because then the characters that have been chosen post 2016 as being like this some sort of like representation of like ultimatum evil has been such an odd experience, because I feel like the characters that are considered like controversial nowadays were like par for the course, you know what I mean? Like they were like par for the course characters that you would come across, self-help individuals or individuals within that sort of spectrum that were relatively unexciting, I would say, in like the year 2014, and then suddenly they became some sort of like beacon of controversy, and I just never, I still don't feel it. Like I just don't. I look at most individuals and the commentators that exist within like pop culture right now, or the individuals that are considered controversial, and they just don't strike me as such. You know what I mean? It's so boring. Most of it we've already seen them before, so I just don't understand why they suddenly get like strange press. And the only thing I can kind of like presume from all of it is that like whatever writers are getting hired at most like sort of journalistic outlets are just, they're different. They're like a different breed, you know what I mean, than what was like previously examined or previously like in charge of like determining cultural outcomes or cultural perspectives. You know, because like obviously the journalists and, you know, all of the media, like they have a very wide branching reach upon like overall culture, you know, culture as a whole, but overall like the overall population. But I'm starting to wonder if for the most part that the media's job isn't so much necessarily to convince you or to convince people of perspectives as it is to kind of like convince you that a large percentage of the population believes that perspective. So like there's so many times where somebody will send me stuff like, oh, have you seen this or have you seen that, or like, and it's like I have a strong sensation that like none of this is relevant. No one gives a shit. No one with a normal brain gives a shit. You know what I mean? For the most part. And the majority of people usually are pretty normal brained, you know? But for some reason, because you like put something into an article, suddenly it has this sort of weight to it that makes us perceive that a large percentage, maybe more than 50% of the population, believes one particular thing, when in reality, most people don't give a fuck. Like astroturfing. Is that what that is? What is astroturfing? Astroturfing refers to the practice of creating fake or deceptive online content, messages, or reviews that are designed to appear genuine or organic, but are actually orchestrated by individual organizations or companies with the intention of shaping public perception. Yeah, kind of, I guess. Like, I think a lot of people that exist within those sort of strange echo chambers of journalism, whatever side it might be on or whatever perspective they have, I think they are so self-aggrandizing in their perspectives of reality that they perceive that of course my ideas are believed by a large portion of the population. I saw my friends on Twitter think it, so therefore it must be reality, when in reality it's just like a very, very vocal, very, very, like platforming and focusing on a very vocal minority, and it just doesn't really represent reality as a whole. And oftentimes I don't know if it's just like those people are being like weaponized or used as sort of like useful things for some larger down the road perspective. I'm not really sure, but to me it's just like all of the outrage that was existed in like 2016 and for quite a while on YouTube and stuff. I think it's died down a decent amount. It just doesn't have the effect on me like it used to. Like I just don't give a shit. I knew deep down I didn't really give a shit because I had recognized the patterns before in the way that the majority of things operated. But it's just I think everyone within the population is slowly getting desensitized to most of these sort of like outrage, headlines and things like that, and realizing that it's just they'd much rather just kind of go about their existence without actually caring too much, because they don't care too much. It's too hard to care. Do you ever think about that? It's like too fucking hard to care. Like when you see somebody upset, like when I see somebody on YouTube get canceled for something or upset about something, or like there's a drama between two people, or there's something big in the news, like I just can't fucking care. I can't even pretend to care because I just don't have time to care. There's no time to care about, like, sure, it's you talk about it, but in the same way that I had that like revelation whilst microdosing LSD about like people not really caring about you that much because they're so focused on themselves and they only really care about how you make them feel. In many ways, the individuals that chase after like ongoing dramatic events, even they eventually get exhausted. And I feel like, or even like if there's like drama channels that cover like stuff about drama, even them I'm sure like they're incentivized, sure, to cover interesting sort of events that occur in the drama of someone's life, but they've probably seen so much of it that they just feel like next to nothing towards it. And that's kind of how I've arrived at as far as like if there's someone in my immediate family that's having an issue, or a friend or whatever, like that to me is like more exciting or more palatable than like some random fucking nobody on the internet that just has a bunch of numbers next to their name and somehow that's supposed to be considered relevance or something. I don't know. It's just, what am I even talking about? I've been so fucking all over the place, but that's okay. But no pressure having a chit chat. Yeah, this is the just chatting section of YouTube. We're just chatting. When you go to do things, just tell the random people and say yes to everything your friends ask you for adventures. It's true. Yeah. I wish I was that person. There was this one girl I worked with, like she would just constantly like host events and think of like new shit to go do, because she was just very like ambitious. But I was more or less just kind of like a yes person to whatever it was, and I did have a good time, but I just never been that person who's like, ooh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like it more or less seems like a pain in the ass to me. You haven't told us how your mate in Florida is doing. He's supposed to get, he actually does have FEMA coming tomorrow to look to potentially give them money pertaining to insurance or whatever, and then he also has the flood insurance company coming to take a look at that as well. And I told, he seems to be pretty adamant about not, when I told him about like maybe we'll do a charity stream, he's like, no, don't do that. So we could still, maybe do something for him or whatever. Buy him some stilts he can put his house on or whatever. Find your inner penguin. I feel like a lot of people who pretend to care about every little thing going on are just trying to cultivate a personality. If you care about everything, you care about it. Exactly, yeah. You kind of have to like hyper focus on one thing. It is really strange. It is really strange coming across like, because I mean, when they talk about like NPCs and that kind of thing in the cultures, I mean, you really do come across like a lot of NPCs, like just people that like are they actually mad, or are they just like trying to farm likes, or you just like don't know what they actually feel because their brains seem to be incapable of like focusing on one thing too long. They just like need the next thing to go to, and maybe they enjoy to be angry about, but how can anybody physically be that angry about something? They tend to just move on to the next thing anyways, so that's why you stay off Twitter. Yeah, I thankfully haven't seen, maybe it's just how Twitter is geared, or X, is geared to me now. Gang gang. Ice cream is so good. Hell yeah, dude. You seem really cool. I just watched your Grindr Scary Story video. It's interesting. Definitely gonna sub. Thank you, Z King. Appreciate you. You love my personality. Thank you. I love you guys. You guys, holy shit, it's 4 a.m, but whatever. I don't know. My life has been, I don't know. My life is like, ooh, but sometimes lately I'm not depressed. I won't say I'm depressed because I don't feel that way, because I think it would have to be a little bit more serious than that. But I'm definitely in weird advanced stages of human boredom in my life. And I worry that if I'm not careful, I could allow the next, like I could totally see, like I'm 33 right now, right? And because of just like how the trajectory of my life has gone so far, I could totally see myself accidentally coasting into 40 without even realizing it, or without even really having any sort of like evolutionary changes as a person. Yeah, I'm stuck for sure. I feel stuck. I feel stuck in a weird thing, and I don't really know even what stuck is per se. Maybe it's some degree of fear towards what, I'm not sure. Because do you feel more complacent and apathetic? I feel a little complacent for sure. I feel this weird sensation where it's like I want to go do things, but then whenever I would go, when I went on vacations or trips this summer, it was as if though I just wanted to get home, And and then that was the sad thing, is like once I got home, I had even more of a sad realization where I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't necessarily want to be home, but I don't necessarily want to be on traveling or going places. And because like when you travel, it's like your immune system's always shitty, you're always getting bad sleep sometimes, and just a combination of like things. But so maybe I should just shut the fuck up, right? Biological clock. Am I married? I am not married, no. I would like to get married. It'd be nice to have some kids. It's, oh, dude, it's so funny, man. Like, I was hanging out with my buddy. He's kind of going through a rough time in his marriage lately, and it actually scares the fuck out of me in regards to marriage, just how like people can change so quickly. But he had his 2 daughters. They're so sweet. Like, one's 7 and one's 3, and it was so crazy because I hadn't seen, because when they're younger, they, their language ability develops so quickly and out of nowhere. And it was just like so funny, like his 3-year-old just like looks like this just little thing that should not be allowed to say like as many words as she says, but she just like knows full sentences and like entire concepts. And I'm like, dude, you just turned 3, like you should not have these abilities in your head to communicate with me. It's kind of scary, but she it's like full conversation, and it's just normal. And I'm like, this is kind of odd, but it's cute. And I'm like, I would love that. I would love to just like to create another human being and like see them do human being shit. Solo travel, I swear you'll love it. Maybe. Solo traveling. What do you do when you get there? Try to send me my ideas soon. Can't promise I'll make all problems go away, but no, I'm not. I don't even have any. I have no issues, no worries, bro. But I would ideally, honestly, for me, ideally, it would be nice to have like a wife, and she's like ambitious or some shit, and then she's just like, let's go do this, and I'm like, sure, I'll, and then I just make it happen. You know what I mean? Like, because for some reason, I don't really even give a shit about the places I go. I just care about the people that I'm with, and as long as the people that I'm with are like fun to be around, that's going places to me is like about the same as just like going to a restaurant or a thing. So long. Thank you. Welcome back for 3 months. As I love our little talks, Joel. They're nice, I like to chat with you guys. Chitty chat. Please take care of yourself, Joel. I'm to sleep while listening to your stories. Yeah, maybe I should probably go to bed. Learn how to play the steel drums. It's the rudest thing you've ever said, Terry. I'm just kidding, but maybe I should go to bed too. I do have to edit these stories tomorrow and go about my typical day progression. It is a Monday, guys. Oh wait, it's Memorial Day. Or no. Dude, I always mix up. Do you guys ever mix up Memorial Day and Labor Day? I be doing that sometimes. I be popping bottles and mixing up holidays. Sucks about being single. Sometimes you have to do everything. You have to make everything happen. Yeah, exactly. And the weird thing is like, okay, so you're driving in a car and there's another human being next to you. You can kind of be loud and boisterous, have a laugh maybe, essentially be the complete opposite of who you are by yourself when you're with another person, like a friend or a significant other or whatever. It's so weird. And in a similar fashion, you would be motivated to go all the way to, Mars if you went there with your friends. But for some reason, going by yourself sometimes, it's just the energy is just, you're like, what, why would I go to Mars, What the fuck am I going to do on Mars? Do you ever narrate some of these stories and kind of think, wow, you are a trash human being? Me? I'm the trash... No, I'm just kidding. I know what you mean. I mean, sometimes people do really... Well, definitely the true crime stuff, and people like the criminals are bad. But I feel like most of the time the story narrators are in a sort of victim perspective. Oh, fucking shit. But yeah, I will probably get off here, go get some sleepers. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are on planet Earth, planet Girth. It'd be crazy once we I don't know. I wonder how long humanity's going to be around for. What if we're just around forever? Which is fine. And we end up on other planets, and other planets develop their own little evolution. You go to Mars and you're in the same way you're like, oh yeah, you don't want to hang out with people from Alabama. It's going to be similar where you're like, dude, people on Mars are fucking weird, man. They're all they all can jump really high. I don't know, or something like that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and get these stories edited up on fucking Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. You can do a free trial, which is neat. And then I will also go ahead and get these up on YouTube, same time, same place, 7 p.m. EST tonight, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There will be an ad in the beginning, so I don't know why that's significant, but it'll be there. And then it does help when you guys watch the video right when it comes out. It helps bolster. It gives it some view velocity. So if you would be so kind to check it out right when it drops at 7 p.m. EST, that'd be cool. Follow me on Twitter at Let's Read Creepy and at letsread.official on Instagram. I will have a new TikTok soon to show all of you. It's going to be super flippin' sick. I'm going to be showing my pussy. I'm just kidding. I won't be doing that, but we'll be doing stories or something. I don't fucking know. And yeah, I'll be back streaming on Tuesday, my dudes. And then I'll see you then. We'll have a good time and giggle and come up with solutions that I'll never use and feel good about ourselves. All right. Sleep tight. Stay tight. Do whatever you need to do. You guys rock. Make life happen. It goes pretty quick. Love you. And see you soon. Bye-bye.